Visitors often asked, "Master, who is this meal for?" But Joshin never answered. The monks whispered among themselves. Some said it was for an ancestor, others thought it honored a spirit. No one dared ask the master directly. One autumn morning, when the wind carried the scent of cedar and the leaves turned the color of flame, a young monk named Kitaro arrived at the temple. He was earnest, bright, and curious, his mind full of questions, his heart full of hunger for enlightenment. When he first saw the untouched meal beside the teacher's seat, he felt confusion. 3 mornings passed. Each day the bowl was filled, the tea replaced, the cushion empty. His curiosity grew into restlessness. Finally, one day after the meal, when the other monks had left, Kitaro bowed before the master and asked, "Teacher, please forgive my question. Why do we prepare a meal for someone who never comes?" Joshin looked up from his tea, smiling softly. He gestured to the empty cushion. "That seat," he said, "is for the part of me that still believes it must be someone." Kitaro blinked, unsure. Joshin continued, "Each day I think I have set down my ego. Then someone praises me and pride rises. Someone criticizes and I shrink. So I leave this place for the self that still clings, to remind it that it too is welcome to sit, eat, and rest." The young monk bowed deeply. He understood that letting go was not rejection. It was inclusion. Even the self must be treated with kindness before it can dissolve. As weeks passed, Kitaro began to see his own invisible cushion, the subtle self he carried into each act. When he swept the courtyard, he noticed how his mind sought approval. When he meditated, he saw pride in the thought, "I am meditating well." He did not fight these feelings. He bowed to them inwardly as the master had taught and continued breathing. Over time, something shifted. The more he observed, the lighter his movements became. He worked with less noise in his heart. Sometimes he would look toward the master's seat and smile, understanding that true humility was not denying the self but seeing through it. One evening, as the sun bled gold through the temple doors, Joshin spoke quietly to the monks. "The one who knows his own shadow carries light that cannot fade." The monks bowed. Kitaro felt tears rise, not of sorrow but of release. The scene fades. You are no longer in the temple. You are here, breathing, present. Inhale slowly through the nose. Exhale softly through the mouth. Think of your own invisible cushion, the place within you where worry still sits, where fear or expectation lingers. Do not push it away. Invite it closer. Offer it tea. Tell it, "You may rest now. You are both the master and the student. You are both the cushion and the one who sits upon it. Everything that once demanded effort is now allowed to be easy. Notice how the air around you feels lighter. Your heartbeat moves with the rhythm of the breath. The world continues, but you no longer chase it. Each exhale empties the body of tension. Each inhale fills it with quiet light. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to become. Just this, the simple grace of being. As the monks once said, the way is not walked with feet but remembered with breath. You are home. Part 2, the merchant and the river. Soft wind and distant water sounds. The world slows into rhythm. In a far valley below the temple there lived a man named Daizo, a merchant of great renown. His warehouses were filled with silk and spices, his servants numbered more than he could recall, and yet sleep avoided him like a shy ghost. Each night he lay awake, mind racing through lists of accounts and worries. His body rested, but his spirit never did. He believed peace could be bought, that enough wealth, enough security would eventually soften the hard edges of his mind. But every new treasure added another weight. The more he gained, the less he slept. One morning, while drinking tea, he overheard travelers speaking of a monk who lived beside the river, a man so serene that even the animals seemed to rest near him. Daizo's curiosity sparked. What kind of man lives without fear? He thought. Perhaps he has found what I have lost. He packed his finest horse and chose his most beautiful gifts. silk like liquid moonlight, ornaments that gleamed like captured suns, and tea that perfumed the air even before it was steeped. He loaded them carefully, telling himself he would win the monk's wisdom through generosity. The road wound through forests, then rose into quiet hills. The further Daiso traveled, the heavier his gifts seemed to grow. The horse slowed, sweat darkening its coat. He began to wonder whether wisdom was worth such strain. At last, the path opened into a clearing beside a wide, singing river. There, sitting upon a smooth stone, was a monk mending a torn robe. His hut stood nearby, small, unguarded, no richer than the riverbank itself. Daiso dismounted, his silks gleaming against the simplicity of the scene. "Master," he said, bowing, "I bring you gifts, tokens of respect." He laid each treasure carefully on a folded cloth, the tea, the ornaments, the silk. The monk, whose name was Tetsugan, looked at them with gentle curiosity. He did not reach for them. Instead, he looked at Daiso and said, "Tell me, traveler, how did the road feel beneath your burden?" Daiso blinked, surprised by the question. "Hard," he admitted. "I worried all the way that something might fall or break." The monk smiled faintly. "And how does it feel now that you've set them down?" Daiso exhaled, a sound between relief and laughter. "Lighter, much lighter." Tetsugan nodded. "Then you already understand my teaching." The merchant frowned. "But master, surely these things can help others, the poor, the temple, even you." The monk picked up one of the ornaments. He held it toward the light, and the sunlight scattered through it, dancing upon the grass. "See how beautiful it is," he said. Daiso nodded. Tetsugan set it down again, and the light continued to shimmer across the ground. "I see," he continued, "I can enjoy its beauty completely without possessing it. Possession adds weight, not worth." Daiso sat quietly, watching how the wind moved through the grass, how the light played upon the surface of the river. He realized the world did not need his ownership to be magnificent. The monk poured tea into 2 simple clay cups, chipped but clean. He offered one to Daiso. "Drink." The tea was plain, slightly bitter, but it tasted of earth and peace. Daiso drank slowly, feeling his body soften. "When we try to own beauty," Tetsugan said, "it decays in our hands. When we simply witness it, it renews itself endlessly." For a long time they sat in silence, the river speaking for both of them. Finally Daiso said, "I thought wealth would give me freedom." The monk replied, "Wealth gives choice, not freedom. Freedom is the ability to put things down." The words fell like stones into Daiso's heart, rippling outward. He bowed deeply. "Then I will leave these gifts with you. Perhaps they will serve someone better." Tetsugan smiled. "They will serve the river well. Tomorrow they will be gone, carried to wherever they are needed." Daiso looked startled. "You will cast them away?" The monk sipped his tea. "Nothing is ever thrown away, Daiso. Everything simply changes hands. Even this conversation will not be lost. It will travel with you as lightly as breath." The next morning Daiso rose before dawn. The mist curled above the river like smoke from an unseen fire. He looked for the treasures but saw only ripples where the current flowed strongest. For the first time in his life, he felt joy in absence. He bowed to the monk who stood watching the sunrise. "Master," he said softly, "I thought I came here to give, but I see now that I came to be emptied." Tetsugan smiled. "Good. Now walk home with open hands." As Daiso mounted his horse, he noticed how light it felt, how easily the animal moved beneath him. The road stretched ahead, unburdened. Each breath was a gift, each step a letting go. You breathe now as Daiso did, freely, deeply. Inhale through the nose, hold for a moment, and exhale slowly like the river flowing back into itself. Imagine all that you carry, worry, memory, expectation, turning into soft light. See that light flow from your hands, down your arms, into the earth. The world accepts what you release. You lose nothing by letting go. You gain space for peace to live. Rest in that space now. Feel the breath moving easily. Feel your heart unburdened. There is no grasping here, no needing, only flow, endless, kind, and clear. The river inside you knows its way home. Trust it, breathe, let go, and rest. Part 3. The Monk and the Ice. The faint sound of dripping water echoing gently, as though the world itself is thawing. Beyond the valley where the merchant once walked, winter had settled like a great silence. The mountain streams were frozen, the trees bent under the weight of snow, and the wind sang its hollow tune through the pines. In a small temple carved from the side of the hill, a young monk named Kenji sat before a bowl of ice. It glimmered faintly in the dim light, blue and clear. For weeks, Kenji had struggled to understand the teaching of stillness. He believed that stillness meant stopping all motion, that silence meant resisting all sound. He forced his breath to be shallow, his body to be motionless, his thoughts to disappear. But the harder he tried, the more restless his mind became. It was like trying to hold a river in his hands. His teacher, Master Ren, had given him only one instruction. Sit before the ice until you understand what it has to teach. Kenji did not ask what that meant. He only obeyed, though doubt gnawed at him like cold through cloth. Each day he sat watching the ice glint in the faint light from the window. Sometimes he grew angry with it as if its silence mocked him. Other times he pleaded with it to melt, to reveal the secret hidden inside. Nothing happened. The ice remained what it was, cold, unmoving, perfect in its refusal to change. Then one morning the sun rose higher than before. A single beam entered the room and struck the surface of the ice. Kenji watched as a drop of water formed, trembled, and slid down the side of the bowl. It was the smallest movement imaginable. Yet it was everything. He leaned closer, eyes wide. Another drop formed, and another. Slowly the ice began to surrender, not through force but through warmth. It was then that Kenji understood. Stillness was not the absence of movement. It was the presence of peace within it. The ice did not resist the sun. It became the water willingly. In its melting, it returned to what it had always been. That evening when Master Ren returned, Kenji bowed deeply. "I have seen the lesson," he said. Ren nodded, setting his staff against the wall. "Tell me what you saw." Kenji pointed to the bowl. "It melted without effort. The sun did all the work." Ren smiled. "And what did the ice do?" Kenji paused, thinking. "It allowed itself to melt." The master's eyes gleamed. "Then you have learned the way of true stillness, not control but consent." Later that night, as the wind softened outside and snow fell in slow spirals, Kenji sat again before the empty bowl. He touched the water that had once been ice and felt it slip easily through his fingers. He realized that every effort he had made to force silence had been like trying to freeze himself into enlightenment. But peace, like the sun, comes naturally when we stop blocking its warmth. He breathed slowly, letting the air move freely through him. There was no boundary now between breath and world, between body and sound. He did not try to stop thoughts anymore. He simply let them pass, melting back into the quiet beneath. And for the first time he felt truly still. Soft instrumental melodies, slow, serene. You too can feel this lesson now. Close your eyes if you wish. Take a deep breath in and out. Think of something inside you that has felt frozen. A worry, a regret, a memory that will not change. Do not fight it. Do not try to shatter it with thought. Just let the sun of your attention warm it gently. Each inhale is sunlight, each exhale surrender. Feel the tension soften. Feel the edges begin to melt. You do not have to fix what is frozen. You only have to allow it to thaw. Peace does not come from holding tight, but from loosening the grip. In this moment, the ice of your mind begins to turn to water. It flows down through your chest, your arms, your belly. A soft, slow river of light. Master Ren once said, "Even the hardest heart will melt when it remembers the warmth it came from." So breathe and remember, you were never meant to be rigid. You were meant to move, to change, to shine. Let each breath remind you of the quiet fire that lives within. You are both the ice and the sun. You are the melting, the act of becoming whole again. The world outside may still be winter, but inside spring has already begun. Lie back if you can. Let your body grow heavy against the earth. Let warmth rise slowly from the center of your chest, spreading like light through every part of you. The breath is slow now, the thoughts soft, the heart calm. You are resting inside the lesson itself. Peace is not effort. Peace is permission. Breathe in the warmth. Breathe out the resistance. Melt. The night holds you safely. The silence knows your name. And as the ice of all that you once carried disappears, what remains is the clear, flowing water of being. Sleep, if you wish. The world will keep breathing for you. Soft flute music echoes through a misty forest. The sound of wind weaving through hollow reeds. In the far eastern valley where the mountains meet the mist, there grew a grove of bamboo, tall, slender, and whispering secrets to the wind. To those who listened, the forest seemed alive with quiet wisdom. But to a young monk named Hiroshi who had come there to meditate, it was a place of frustration. He watched other plants sprout, bloom, and wither in the time his bamboo remained hidden. He began to wonder if he had planted it wrong, or if he was simply unworthy of the miracle of growth. One morning, when even his hope felt dry, he walked to his teacher, Master Tanaka, and bowed deeply. "Master," he said, "I have failed. I tended the bamboo with all my effort, yet nothing grows." Tanaka smiled as if he had heard the same story many times before. "Tell me," he said, "what did you do each day?" "I watered, I weeded, I kept the ground soft and warm." "And did you ever stop?" "Never," Hiroshi replied. "Even when I lost faith, I continued." Tanaka nodded. "Then it is growing, though you cannot yet see it. The roots spread before the shoots rise. You must trust what is unseen." Hiroshi frowned. "How can I trust what I cannot see?" The master picked up a bamboo staff leaning by his side and tapped it lightly on the floor. "This staff once hid beneath the earth for 5 years before it pierced the surface. When it finally rose, it grew more than 30 feet in a single season. If it had rushed to grow too soon, its roots would have broken beneath the wind." The words struck Hiroshi like a bell tolling across the valley. He bowed again, more deeply this time, and returned to the grove. Days passed into months, months into years. He kept watering, though the soil looked the same. And one morning, as sunlight spilled across the valley, he saw a tiny green shoot pushing through the earth. It was fragile, almost invisible. But it was there, his heart filled with gratitude so vast that he wept. The years of waiting had not been wasted. They had been preparing him to recognize this single moment. As the seasons turned, the bamboo grew tall, strong, and graceful. It swayed without breaking, bent without falling, and whispered its song through the wind. Hiroshi sat beneath it often, listening. He realized that patience was not about waiting for something to happen. It was about trusting that everything already was. The bamboo did not fight to rise, it followed its nature. The rain did not hurry to fall, it followed gravity. The earth did not resist the roots, it welcomed them. In time, Hiroshi came to see that every practice, every silence, every breath was its own kind of root, invisible but essential. One day, as Master Tanaka walked through the valley, he found Hiroshi sitting beneath the grove. "Tell me," the master said, "what have you learned?" Hiroshi looked up, smiling. "I learned that nothing grows before it is ready, and I learned that I was never waiting for the bamboo. It was waiting for me to be still enough to notice." Tanaka laughed softly, the sound mingling with the rustling leaves. "Well then," he said, "your roots are deep. You will not fall easily." Soft wind and faint birdsong, the voice slows. Now take a breath. Inhale through the nose, hold it softly, exhale through the mouth. Feel the rhythm of the bamboo in your body, rising and falling, bending and returning. Each breath is a growth you cannot see. Each still moment is a root finding its way into the ground of your being. Trust that your quiet practice matters even when it feels invisible. The seeds of peace take time to break through the soil of thought. They do not bloom by effort but by patience. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where your roots need to be. Let this truth settle into you gentle as falling leaves. Growth is not measured by movement but by depth. Breathe again. Slow, deep, grateful. With each inhale, you are drawing water to your roots. With each exhale, you are softening the soil around your soul. There is no need to rush. Even stillness is growing. Even silence is teaching. Even waiting is sacred. As night approaches, imagine yourself lying beneath the bamboo grove. The leaves sway above you, whispering secrets of time. The air smells of earth and rain. The wind moves gently across your skin. You feel the heartbeat of the world beneath you, steady and calm. It tells you all things unfold when they are ready. You do not need to see your progress to know it exists. You do not need to understand to feel peace. Somewhere deep inside, roots are spreading, unseen, unhurried, unafraid. And soon, when the time is right, your own green shoot will rise into the light. Until then, rest in the patience of bamboo. Trust the quiet work beneath the surface. And breathe. Part 5. The Empty Scroll. In soft brushstrokes and the faint crackle of parchment. A subtle hum of wind through paper walls. In a temple by the river lived a monk named Takeshi, known throughout the province for his art. His scrolls were cherished by nobles and commoners alike, landscapes brushed with such grace that viewers swore they could hear the wind moving through painted trees. But one season, as the rains lingered and the sky refused to clear, Takeshi found himself staring at a blank scroll for many days. No vision came, no line wanted to be drawn. The ink waited, the brush waited, the paper waited, but his hand could not move. At first he blamed the weather, then his tools, then his own fatigue. But deep down, he knew the truth. His heart had become too full of pride to flow freely. The more people praised him, the more he feared failure. And fear, like frost, had frozen the river of creation. His teacher, an old monk named Shunyo, noticed his struggle and said nothing for many weeks. Then one morning, as the sun rose through the mist, Shunyo entered the studio carrying a small cup of tea. He placed it beside Takeshi and spoke softly. "You paint too much with your memory and too little with your breath." Takeshi bowed his head. "I am lost, master. I cannot begin." The old monk looked at the scroll. "Then do not begin," he said. "Let it begin for you." The next day, Shunyo took Takeshi to the edge of the river where reeds bent in the wind. He gave him a fresh brush and said, "Paint the wind." Takeshi blinked. "The wind cannot be seen." "Then paint what it moves," Shunyo replied. Takeshi stood for a long time, watching the reeds sway. He lifted his brush but did not touch the paper. The river shimmered, the sky shifted, and in that endless motion he realized the truth. To paint the wind, he had to stop trying to capture it. He had to let it move through him. He dipped his brush in ink, closed his eyes, and let his hand move with the rhythm of breath. Stroke by stroke, the lines appeared, imperfect, alive, and full of air. When he opened his eyes, he saw something simple and profound. The shape of stillness within motion. Shunyo smiled. "That is your best work yet," he said, "but it is not finished." "What is missing?" Takeshi asked. "Nothing," said the master. "Now tear it." The young monk froze. "Tear it, but it is good." Shunyo nodded. "Exactly, now let it go." Reluctantly, Takeshi tore the scroll in half. The sound echoed through the valley like the release of breath. The master bowed slightly. "Now you understand that art, like peace, is not about keeping, it is about allowing." The next day, Takeshi returned to his studio and unrolled another blank scroll. But this time, the emptiness did not frighten him. He bowed to it as one bows to a teacher. He dipped his brush once more and began again, slowly, freely, as if painting not with ink but with gratitude. Each stroke became a breath, each pause became a prayer. When the painting was done, he did not seek approval or beauty. He simply smiled at the space left untouched. The silence within the image felt larger than the image itself. That night he dreamed of an endless scroll stretching across the sky, filled not with lines but with stars. Each one a dot of awareness, each one shining because of the darkness surrounding it. He awoke with tears in his eyes, realizing that creation is never truly about what we add. It is about what we leave untouched. In the days that followed, the monk's art became even simpler. He painted less, yet each piece spoke more. Visitors could no longer explain why his work felt so alive, only that they felt peace while looking at it. And Takeshi himself painted only when the moment called him, never from ambition, never from demand. He understood that emptiness was not the absence of art. It was the source of it. Soft instrumental music, faint like breath. Now breathe with the same rhythm as the brush. Inhale slowly through the nose. Exhale softly through the mouth. Each breath is a stroke. Each pause between breaths is the untouched space that gives meaning to the stroke. If your mind feels blank, do not rush to fill it. Let it be the scroll. Let the air be the ink. When you breathe, you create invisible art. When you rest, the universe paints through you. There is no need to prove, no need to perfect, only to allow. The world, too, is a scroll, unrolling moment by moment. You are both the painter and the space between strokes. You are the hand that moves and the wind that guides it. Every breath writes a new line of your existence, and every exhale erases it gently, lovingly, making room for what comes next. Imagine now a blank canvas stretched across your mind. No thoughts, no judgments, only white space, open, infinite. Feel how peaceful that emptiness is. It is not loneliness, it is possibility. It is where stillness breathes. In this moment, you are the empty scroll and the painting that has not yet begun. Both perfect, both complete. As Master Shunyo said, the sky is beautiful because it leaves room for clouds. So breathe, leave room for silence, leave room for yourself. Let the ink of the world flow as it will. Let life draw its patterns upon you. You are not here to control the art. You are here to witness its unfolding. Now rest, still and whole in the space between strokes. You are the art, the emptiness, and the peace that holds them both. Soft street sounds, footsteps on cobblestones, faint laughter in the distance, and the ringing of a small bell carried by the wind. In a quiet village that lay between two rivers, there lived a beggar named Sora. He owned nothing but the robe on his back and a small wooden bowl for collecting rice. Every morning he would walk through the streets, bowing to each person he met, asking softly, "For a grain of compassion, please." Most passed by without a glance. Some tossed him a coin, others a curse. But every time Sora smiled, the same gentle smile as if he already possessed everything he needed. People whispered that he was mad. How could a man who slept under bridges and ate scraps from strangers smile with such peace? But children loved him. They followed him through the alleys, giggling, and he would tell them stories about stars that sang and rivers that dreamed of the sea. One afternoon, a wealthy nobleman visiting from the city stopped his carriage when he saw Sora. He had never seen a beggar bow so gracefully or look so serene. "Tell me," the nobleman said, "what makes you so content when you have nothing at all?" Sora bowed deeply. "Sir," he said, "I am content because I have learned to see everything as a gift already given." The nobleman frowned. "How can you say that when you are clearly poor?" The beggar lifted his bowl and smiled. "This bowl is always full," he said. "If there is rice, I eat. If it is empty, it holds the sky." The nobleman stared, unsure if the man was mocking him or teaching him. "Then tell me," he said sharply, "if you are so rich, why beg?" Sora's eyes sparkled. I do not beg for food, he replied. I beg to remind others that generosity still exists. The nobleman said nothing. He reached into his purse and tossed a gold coin into the wooden bowl. The coin landed with a dull sound, heavy and gleaming. Sora looked down, then looked back up with the same smile. "Ah," he said softly, "now it is too full to hold the sky." The nobleman blinked, realizing the quiet wisdom in those words. He bowed his head slightly, the first time he had ever bowed to someone he thought beneath him. As he rode away, he glanced back and saw the beggar give the coin to a hungry child sitting by the wall. The nobleman whispered to himself, "Perhaps I am the one who has nothing." That evening, Sora sat by the river watching the sunset paint the water in gold. The wind stirred his tattered robe, and he held his empty bowl before him like an offering. He whispered a small prayer. "May this bowl always remind me that even emptiness can shine." Then he lifted it to his lips and drank from it as if it were full of light. A monk who had been meditating nearby opened his eyes and approached. He had watched Sora many times but had never spoken to him before. "Brother," the monk said gently, "your bowl is empty, yet you drink as if it were full. Why?" Sora looked at him with calm eyes. "When I was young, I waited for the world to give me what I wanted. Now I see that the world has already given me everything. I only needed to learn how to taste it." The monk bowed deeply. "Then you are wealthier than any king." Sora laughed softly, a sound like wind chimes in the dusk. "Kings worry about losing what they own. I have nothing to lose, so I sleep well." Soft string music fades in, a gentle hum beneath the story. Now close your eyes and breathe with the beggar's heart. Inhale slowly through your nose and feel the cool air fill the space within you. Exhale softly and imagine that everything unnecessary leaves with the breath. Every fear, every doubt, every craving. Picture a wooden bowl resting in your chest. It may seem empty, but look closely. It reflects the sky. It holds sunlight, moonlight, and the quiet rhythm of breath. It is always full. When thoughts arise, drop them into the bowl gently. Watch them settle like coins in water. Then breathe again and see the ripples fade. Peace returns without effort. There is nothing missing. There is nothing extra. You are complete even when you feel empty. In the silence between breaths, listen. The heart itself whispers gratitude. It says, "Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this stillness. Thank you for this moment of being alive." Sora once said to the children who followed him, "The richest person is the one who can give thanks before receiving." So let your next inhale be a thank you. Let your next exhale be a gift to the world. If you have worries, place them in the bowl. If you have sorrow, place it there too. The bowl will hold it all. And when the time comes, it will empty itself. You do not need to force anything away. Peace will find its own balance. Night falls softly now. You are sitting by your own quiet river, holding your invisible bowl of light. The stars reflect in it, endless and gentle. Each breath polishes its surface, making it shine brighter. You are no longer waiting for something to fill you. You realize you were never truly empty. As you breathe, smile. The same small smile Sora carried through every hardship. Let it live on your face for a moment, even if no one can see it. That smile itself is a kind of prayer. The air grows still and the sound of the river fades into your breathing. Sleep drifts closer, quiet as moonlight on water. Hold your invisible bowl one last time. Whisper softly in your heart, "May I always see abundance, even in nothing." Then let go. The bowl vanishes into the darkness and all that remains is light. The soft sound of wind moving across snow, a slow flute in the distance. The hush of winter before dawn. The temple roofs were covered in white. The world seemed asleep beneath a blanket of silence. Inside a small meditation hall, a monk named Sato sat beside the fire. The flames danced faintly, throwing shadows that moved like living thoughts across the walls. For many weeks, snow had fallen without pause. The roads were buried, the trees stood bare, and food had grown scarce. The monks spoke little, each conserving warmth and breath. One evening, as he sat alone, the fire dimmed. He reached for more wood and found only ashes. He sighed, rubbing his hands together, feeling their numbness. "Why does stillness feel so empty?" he whispered. Outside, the wind answered, brushing against the wooden shutters like an old friend forgotten. He pulled his robe tighter and stared at the dying coals, their glow sinking into darkness. At that moment, the door slid open. It was Master Rioan, the abbot, wrapped in a heavy cloak. He carried a single lantern, its light soft and golden. "Still awake?" the master asked. Sato bowed. "The fire has gone out, master. I will fetch more wood." Rioan smiled gently. "Sit, there is warmth enough here." He set the lantern on the floor between them. They sat together in silence for a long time, the air heavy with snow and stillness. Finally, Rioan spoke. "Hey, do you know what the snow teaches?" Sato shook his head. "It falls upon the poor and the rich alike," the master said. "It covers temples and graves, trees and stones. It makes no choice, no judgment. When it melts, it feeds the same earth that gave it birth. Compassion is the snow of the heart, cold at first touch but nourishing in its disappearance." Sato listened, his breath visible in the cold. "But master," he said softly, "I feel no compassion, only numbness." Rioan reached out and placed a hand over Sato's heart. "Then start there," he said. "Warmth returns to those who are willing to feel the cold." Sato's eyes filled with tears. They were hot against his frozen skin. He hadn't realized how long he had kept them locked away. The master smiled. "There it is," he whispered. "The first fire." They sat again, breathing together. Slowly, the light of the lantern reflected in Sato's eyes. It was small, but steady. "Why is the heart like winter?" Sato asked. Rioan replied, "Because winter reminds us that even death is only rest. The trees look lifeless, but their sap is gathering strength. The stillness is not the end. It is the waiting before bloom." Sato nodded, letting the words settle like snowflakes. He felt something move within him, not joy, not clarity, but a deep, quiet thaw. The next morning he woke early and stepped outside. The snow glistened beneath the pale light, untouched and perfect. He walked to the old maple tree at the edge of the courtyard. Each branch was heavy with frost. He bowed to it. "Thank you for reminding me," he whispered. "You do not curse the cold. You endure it. You trust spring." He reached out and brushed a branch. Snow fell onto his palm, melting instantly into water. He smiled, feeling that same warmth spreading through his chest. When the other monks gathered for morning meditation, they noticed the difference in him. His presence felt softer, his gaze clearer. He no longer seemed frozen but calm, like the quiet earth beneath the snow. That evening, Rian joined him again by the fire. The flames burned brighter now, their warmth gentle but strong. The master looked pleased. "You see," he said, "you did not need to find the sun. You only needed to let the snow melt." Sato bowed. "The cold is not my enemy, is it?" Rioan chuckled. "No, it is your teacher. The winter heart learns patience. The warmth of compassion grows slow, but it never fails to bloom." They sat in silence once more, listening to the snow tapping gently on the roof. The sound was no longer lonely. It was music, the rhythm of the world breathing in its sleep. Soft, slow wind. The voice becomes more meditative. "Now let your own heart feel that same gentle thaw. Inhale deeply through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Slow and quiet. With each breath, imagine warmth gathering in your chest, a small flame flickering softly. Do not force it. Do not fan it with thought. Just let it glow on its own. Even if your life feels like winter now, know that beneath the frost, your roots are still alive. The heart rests so it can learn to open again. Breathe in the calm of snow. Breathe out the warmth of acceptance. Feel the body relax like a frozen river remembering how to flow. Your breath is the sun melting the surface. The stillness you feel is not emptiness. It is renewal preparing itself. Let your heart be quiet but not cold. Let it be still but not numb. Let it rest in the rhythm of trust. That warmth will always return. Every winter ends in spring. Every silence hides a new song. Every heart that sleeps will one day wake. Rest now inside that knowing. You are not lost in the cold. You are learning the patience of light. As the old master said, the snow and the fire are not enemies. They complete each other. Sleep softly under this white sky. Your winter heart is only dreaming of spring. Soft bell sound, a faint hum of night insects, the slow rhythm of wind in a quiet courtyard. The night had deepened over the temple. Clouds moved across the moon, veiling and unveiling its face in slow motion. In the inner garden, candles flickered within small stone lanterns, their light breathing gently across moss and gravel. A young monk named Akihiko walked among them, carrying a small flame cupped in his hands. He was tasked with relighting the lanterns that had gone dark in the wind. But as he worked, a thought crept into his mind. How fragile light is. Each time he lit a lantern, another dimmed somewhere else. He moved back and forth, tending the flames, his heart growing restless. By the time he reached the last lantern, he felt a quiet frustration, as though the night itself refused to be conquered. He stood beneath the moon and whispered, "Why must darkness always return?" From behind him came the voice of the abbot, Master Jotaro, slow and amused. "Because, my son, light forgets it needs darkness to be seen." Akihiko turned and bowed. "Master, I only wish to keep the temple bright." The old monk smiled. "And yet, if the night never came, what meaning would your light have?" He took the lantern from Akihiko's hand and placed it on the ground. "Watch," he said. The flame flickered softly, throwing a halo of gold upon the stones. The master pointed to the shadow cast behind the lantern. "Do you see that shape?" Akihiko nodded. "That is your teacher," the master said. "It follows light everywhere, reminding it of its source." The young monk frowned slightly. "I do not understand." Master Jotaro leaned closer to the lantern. "Without shadow, we mistake ourselves for the sun. We forget that light is borrowed, that it shines for a time, then rests. When you try to erase the darkness, you also erase the contrast that lets you see beauty." He blew gently on the flame until it dimmed to an ember. The shadow behind it softened, becoming part of the night. "Now both light and dark belong to the same piece," he said. "True illumination is not brightness, it is balance." Akihiko sat down beside the lantern, watching the tiny flame pulse in rhythm with his breath. He realized how much of his life had been spent chasing brightness. Perfect meditation, flawless discipline, endless calm. Yet every time he reached for perfection, he only deepened his own shadow. The master settled beside him, folding his robe neatly. "In the temple of the heart," he said, "there must be space for both the candle and the night." Akihiko lowered his gaze. "I fear the darkness within me, master." Jotaro nodded. "Then you will never see its gifts. The shadow does not ask to be destroyed, only to be understood. If you bow to it, it will kneel in return." The words struck the monk with gentle force. He closed his eyes and inhaled. When he opened them again, the lantern's glow looked different, softer, deeper, almost kind. He bowed to it, whispering, "Thank you for showing me what I could not see." That night, Akihiko did not relight the other lanterns. He walked through the dark corridors with his single flame, watching how it changed with every breath of air. When it dimmed, he did not panic. When it brightened, he did not rejoice. He simply walked, aware of both. At the far end of the temple stood a mirror polished smooth as water. He held the lantern before it and saw his reflection, half lit, half shadowed. He smiled, finally understanding that both belonged to him. When he returned to his cell, he placed the lantern on the floor and sat beside it. The shadows danced across the walls, moving in quiet rhythm. He whispered, "May I learn to walk in light without fleeing the dark." Then he blew out the flame. The darkness that followed was not emptiness. It was vast and gentle, full of unseen stars, soft flute melody and slow breathing rhythm. Now breathe with Akihiko. Inhale through your nose. Feel the light entering your body. Exhale through your mouth. Feel the shadow relaxing around it. Notice that they exist together. Each breath carries both brightness and depth. One cannot exist without the other. When you inhale, do not cling to the light. When you exhale, do not resist the dark. Let both pass through you like wind through reeds. There is peace in that balance. There is wisdom in what you once called imperfection. Think of your own lantern now, the flame that lives behind your ribs. It flickers, yes, but it has never gone out. Sometimes it shines, sometimes it rests. Both are holy. The shadows in your life do not mean failure. They give your light meaning. They carve shape into your compassion, depth into your kindness, humility into your joy. Breathe again, slow and deep. With every inhale, your inner light glows brighter. With every exhale, your shadow bows in gratitude. The two are not enemies. They are lovers meeting in silence. As you rest, imagine standing in that moonlit courtyard once more. The lanterns around you flicker softly, and between them lie pools of shadow. Beautiful, calm, necessary. The wind carries the scent of pine and incense. The world feels whole not because it is bright, but because it is complete. Let that completeness fill you. You are not broken. You are both the light that burns and the night that receives it. In this understanding, there is no need to fear anything within you. Even your darkness breathes with love. Breathe and let the flame and shadow dance together. One single rhythm of peace. Breathe and sleep beneath the gentle glow of your own lantern heart. Soft forest ambience, wind, crickets, a slow temple bell in the distance. After the lesson of the lantern, Akihiko's restlessness eased. But his teacher sensed that his understanding was still thin, like morning mist that vanishes when the sun grows strong. "Go into the forest," Master Jotaro said one evening. "Stay there until the trees speak to you." Akihiko bowed. "What should I ask them, Master?" The old man smiled. "Ask nothing, only listen." The next morning before sunrise, the monk left the temple with nothing but his robe and a small piece of bread. The path led him through fields and over narrow bridges until the air thickened with the scent of pine. The forest welcomed him like an old friend. Shafts of light fell between branches. The ground was soft and green. Every step released the smell of earth. He walked until the sounds of the temple were gone, replaced by the chorus of wind and birds. At first he thought of his chores left undone, of his brothers at prayer, of the fire that would be lit at dusk. Then those thoughts faded. All that remained was the sound of his own breath, steady as the wind. As he walked deeper, the world grew quieter. The trees stood like tall sentinels, motionless yet alive. He paused beside a small clearing and sat upon a flat stone. The forest seemed to be waiting for him. For a while he heard only the pulse of his heartbeat. Then slowly other sounds emerged. The crackle of a branch, the rustle of a leaf falling, the faint buzz of an unseen insect. He closed his eyes. At first it felt like nothing was happening. But then he noticed something remarkable. Each sound entered, lived for a moment and passed away, leaving behind a silence more beautiful than before. That silence was not empty. It was full of listening, full of life. A thought arose: the forest breathes as I breathe. He inhaled deeply, feeling the cool air fill his lungs. When he exhaled, he imagined the trees inhaling in return. And in that shared breath, something shifted. He no longer felt like a man sitting among trees. He was part of the forest's vast and quiet heart. He opened his eyes and looked around. Every trunk, every branch, every blade of grass seemed to shine faintly from within. He thought of Master Jotaro's words. Ask nothing. So he didn't. Instead, he listened, not to find meaning, but to let meaning find him. Hours passed. The shadows lengthened. The air grew cooler. Then, as the sun slipped behind the ridge, a soft voice, not heard but felt, whispered through the leaves. Peace does not speak loudly, it listens. The voice was not outside him. It came from within, yet also from everywhere. He realized the forest had been speaking all along, but he had been too full of noise to hear. He bowed to the trees and smiled. The world itself was a living sutra. That night he built a small fire beside the clearing. The flames flickered against the bark, echoing the dance of the stars above. He lay back and watched them, feeling their quiet rhythm. The forest breathed with him. It exhaled wind through the leaves and inhaled through the spaces between. He thought of all his teachers, Joshin with the empty cushion, Tetsugan by the river, Kenji and the melting ice, Hiroshi and his patient bamboo, Takeshi and the empty scroll, Sora with his bowl of sky, and the master who taught him the truth of shadow. All of them were voices of the same silence. He whispered, "Thank you," not knowing to whom, and the forest whispered back, "You are welcome." Soft sound of leaves and low chanting wind. Now take a slow breath in, hold it gently, exhale, letting the body soften. Feel the ground beneath you. Imagine the earth supporting your spine, your heart, your breath. The ground does not demand effort, it only receives. Listen, not with your ears, but with the whole of you. There are whispers even in stillness. The hum of your own pulse, the distant sigh of air, the quiet rhythm of being alive. This is the forest speaking through your body. When thoughts arise, treat them as rustling leaves. Let them fall and settle where they will. Do not chase them, do not hold them. Every leaf returns to soil, every thought returns to silence. As you breathe, imagine roots growing from the soles of your feet, reaching deep into the soil. They wind through layers of earth, finding coolness, moisture, strength. The deeper they go, the steadier you feel. You are not separate from the ground. You are part of its stillness, part of its patience. Inhale and feel the forest rise inside you. Exhale and feel it return to calm. The whisper of wind becomes your own breath. The pulse of trees becomes your heartbeat. The silence becomes your home. Somewhere above, an owl calls once and then falls silent. The sound fades into the night, leaving the air clear again. You realize that silence is not the absence of sound, but the space that allows it to exist. Let that truth rest in you. You do not have to force peace, you only have to hear what has been speaking all along. When you lie down to rest tonight, remember the forest of whispers. It lives within you. Even when you sleep, the trees continue to breathe and the silence continues to hold you. As Master Jotaro once said, the world is always whispering peace. Only the heart needs to become quiet enough to listen. Now close your eyes. Let the forest sing its gentle lullaby. Breathe with it, slow, deep, eternal, and sleep within its silence. Low, resonant bell tones fade in. The echo lingers, slowly blending into the sound of wind moving through an empty hall. When Akihiko returned from the forest, Master Jotaro saw a calm in his eyes that had not been there before. The young monk bowed and said, "I have heard the forest speak, Master." The old monk smiled. "Then you are ready for the next sound." "What sound is that?" "The sound that remains after all others fade." The next day before dawn, Jotaro led Akihiko deep into the mountain's heart. The air grew cooler and the path narrowed between stone cliffs. Finally, they came to a vast cavern. Inside, candles glowed dimly along the walls and the air shimmered with a low hum, like the memory of a song. "This," said the master, "is the Temple of Echoes. Listen carefully and you will hear what you are." They entered. The sound of their footsteps carried outward, then returned. Soft, delayed, multiplied. It was as though the mountain itself was breathing with them. Akihiko sat cross-legged on the stone floor. His teacher motioned for him to chant the sacred word Om. He drew a deep breath and began. The sound rolled from his chest, filling the hall, reverberating against unseen walls. It returned to him, changed, deeper, broader, larger than his single voice could ever be. The master whispered, "That is how your thoughts move through the world. They return, shaped by everything they touch." Akihiko listened. The echo faded, leaving behind a hum so faint it might have been silence pretending to be sound. He felt it not in his ears, but in his bones. He spoke again, this time softer. "Who hears the echo?" The master answered, "The same one who speaks it, and the same one who is silent afterward." Hours passed. The monk continued to chant, to listen, to breathe. Sometimes the echo was strong and clear. Sometimes it vanished completely, swallowed by the vastness. Each time it returned differently, stretched, slowed, transformed. At one point, Akihiko stopped chanting and simply sat. He could still hear faint vibrations rolling through the air long after his mouth had closed. He realized that nothing truly ends. It only fades into another form. The master said quietly, "Every sound is a wave returning to stillness. Every thought, every word, every action, all of them come home. Speak with care, and the world will echo with kindness." Akihiko bowed his head. "Then the temple is not only here, master, it is everywhere." Jotaro smiled. "Exactly, the world is the great echo chamber of your heart." Later, as night fell outside, the candles burned low. The master rose and struck a small bell. Its tone shimmered through the hall like light through water. When it faded, only the sound of breath remained. "Now listen to what remains," he said. Akihiko closed his eyes. At first he heard nothing. Then he felt the hum again. Not from the bell, but from within his chest. It was the echo of his own being, the soundless sound of existence itself. It pulsed with every heartbeat. It moved through every inhale and exhale. It was not separate from silence. It was silence in motion. A soft choral tone fades in, airy and endless. Now let yourself enter the temple of echoes. Close your eyes, take a slow breath in, and let it fill you completely. When you exhale, listen. Every sound around you is a wave returning home. The hum of the room, the faint pulse in your ears, even the rhythm of your breath, all of it is part of one endless vibration. Do not try to silence the world. Let it echo through you. Let it teach you that peace is not the absence of sound, but harmony with it. Breathe again, softly. With every inhale, the echo expands. With every exhale, it dissolves back into stillness. You are not the noise. You are the space that gives noise meaning. Imagine now that you are sitting in that vast stone hall. Your voice is a single note rising into the air. It meets the walls, the roof, the mountain, and returns, shaped by the space it traveled through. Your life is like that note. Every action, every word, every breath sends ripples through existence, and every ripple comes back, softened by time, returned as wisdom. This is karma, but it is also compassion. To listen deeply is to understand that nothing you do is lost. All is heard, all returns, all forgives itself through time. The master once said, "When you speak with anger, the echo will cut you. When you speak with love, the echo will heal you. When you are silent, the world sings itself. Let that truth settle inside you. Do not fear your own voice. Do not fear silence. Both are instruments in the same symphony. Take another breath. Let your exhale be the echo of kindness itself. Let your silence afterward be its return. The candles fade. The mountain sleeps. But the hum remains. Steady. Eternal. You feel it in the chest, behind the ribs, beneath the breath. It is the sound before the first word and after the last. It is the note that ties your life to the rhythm of the stars. You are the sound, the echo, and the silence between. You are the temple itself. Now rest. Let the last vibration fade into the vastness. And as it does, feel the peace that was never gone. The stillness that holds every echo, the silence that has always been listening. Sleep now, within the echo of your own heart. Gentle waves rolling, seagulls distant, a rhythm as slow as breath itself. When Akihiko descended from the mountains, the world seemed changed. Or perhaps it was he who had changed enough to finally see. The wind no longer rushed, it whispered. The light no longer dazzled, it rested on every surface like a blessing. He walked for many days, following a path that led him down through meadows and river valleys until the air turned salty. At last, he reached the edge of the sea. The same sea his master had spoken of, the same sea he had dreamed of as a child. The tide moved in slow, deliberate breaths. Each wave rose, broke, and returned to its source. He stood there, his feet sinking gently into the wet sand, feeling the pull and release, the endless rhythm of surrender. And this, he whispered, Umomuno is what the echo becomes, no, not sound, but movement, not return, but belonging. The sky stretched wide and endless above him. There was no temple here, no wall, no altar, only the meeting of wind, water, and heart. He stayed there through the afternoon, watching the color of the sea shift with the sun. At first it glittered with silver. Later it deepened to gold and finally to the violet of twilight. The horizon melted into mist. As he watched, he began to remember all the places he had walked. The forest of whispers, the temple of echoes, the lantern that had taught him to love his own shadow. Every lesson was here, reflected in the tide. The sea contained all opposites. Calm and storm, silence and song, rise and fall. It was the great mirror of existence itself, always changing yet never other than water. He took a step forward until the water reached his ankles. The chill startled him, then steadied him. He closed his eyes and felt the ocean breathing through him. In that moment, a soft voice rose inside his heart. Not his master's voice, but something older. You have walked far, child. Now let the path walk you. He stood still. The words rippled through him like a tide. You sought peace in silence, in sound, in shadow, in form. But peace does not live in one place. It moves like the sea. The wind touched his face. The water circled his feet, pulling and releasing, a rhythm older than thought. He whispered, "Then what must I do?" The voice replied, "Nothing. Return everything you have learned to where it came from. Let the sea hold it. Let the world breathe again without your striving." He bowed his head. The waves washed higher, reaching his knees, then fell away. When night came, the stars appeared one by one, reflected perfectly on the still water near the shore. Each light shimmered in rhythm with the tide, rising and falling as if the heavens themselves were breathing with the earth. Akihiko sat down on the sand and closed his eyes. He began to breathe with the sea, in and out, rise and fall. The separation between his body and the world dissolved. He was not meditating anymore. He was being breathed by the universe. Soft ocean sounds deepen, merging with slow tones of a singing bowl. Now listen, you too have reached your own shore of return. The long journey of the mind has brought you here, to the edge of yourself. Sit quietly as the monk did. Inhale. The sea rises, exhale. The sea returns. You are part of this eternal rhythm. You always have been. There is no need to hold the past. The tide has already taken it. There is no need to chase tomorrow. The water will bring it when it is time. For now, simply exist between the waves. The space between two breaths. That is the true shore. Think of everything you have carried, the echoes of voices, the weight of worry, the stories of who you are. Now see them scatter like shells along the sand. The tide will come, and they will return to the sea. You do not need to gather them again. Let each exhale be an act of release. Let each inhale be a soft returning to the heart. Peace does not mean stillness without movement. It means allowing every motion to rest within stillness. You are that stillness. You are the witness of the waves. The night deepens. The stars lean closer. Their reflections tremble across the water as though the heavens are touching the sea's surface with their light. Akihiko lies back on the sand, his eyes half closed. the rhythm of waves guiding his breath. He remembers Master Jotaro's final words. The end of every journey is the beginning of belonging. He smiles. The tide creeps higher, washing over his arms, his chest, his face. The water is cool, then warm, then no different from his own skin. He is not drowning. He is dissolving. There is no boundary between him and the sea. There is only movement, gentle, endless, kind. The waves whisper, return, return, return. Soft flute over ocean waves. Now breathe again. Each inhale draws in the world. Each exhale gives it back. You do not need to control the rhythm. You are the rhythm. When you wake, the sea will still be breathing. When you sleep, it will breathe for you. This is the gift of surrender, the quiet trust that life continues whether or not you are watching. Let go of watching. Let go of effort. Let go of everything that stands between you and the tide. You are home now. The sea within the sea, the breath within the breath. Rest here in the great returning. Let the shore disappear. Let yourself drift not away but into everything. Sleep, traveler. The journey is complete and yet it continues forever. Soft harp tones ripple beneath the steady rhythm of the ocean. The night has no edges, only the movement of light upon water. Akihiko lay upon the sand, his body cradled by the earth, his breath rising and falling with the sea. The waves whispered not as sound, but as language, one the heart understood before the mind could name. Somewhere between wakefulness and sleep, he realized he was no longer merely lying beside the ocean. He was floating within it. The water was warm, luminous, almost alive. Every drop seemed to hum with awareness. When he opened his eyes, he saw the surface shimmering above him like a sheet of glass. Moonlight filtered through in liquid beams. He did not need to breathe. He was the breath. This was no ordinary sea. This was the dreaming sea, the vast ocean of consciousness itself. The place where all thoughts, memories, and lives mingled and returned. It was not something he entered. It was something he remembered. As he drifted, shapes began to form around him, glowing like stars in the deep. He saw faces of people he had loved and lost, teachers, strangers, even those he had once called enemies. All of them smiled at him without words. They were made of the same light as the water. Every image shimmered and dissolved, replaced by another. It was as though the sea was showing him the tapestry of his own existence, thread by thread. He tried to grasp none of it. He only watched, and the sea rewarded his stillness with clarity. Each life, each memory, each sorrow was a wave, rising, shining, vanishing. And beneath them all lay the same silent depth. For the first time he understood. There was no death here, only transformation. Nothing truly ended, it only changed its shape. A voice emerged from the water, gentle as a mother speaking to a child. Why do you fear what dreams? He did not answer. The question felt too vast. The voice continued, You have mistaken the surface for the sea. But the dream is also real, and the real is also dream. The one who knows both never drowns. He bowed his head in the water. Bubbles of light drifted upward from his lips like blessings. He whispered, Then who am I if all this is the dream? The voice replied, You are the dreamer, and the dreaming, and the space in which both unfold. The words were not to be understood but felt. They sank into him like sunlight through water. Soft choral hum beneath the waves. He drifted deeper. The light grew brighter instead of dimmer until he could see no separation between himself and the ocean. The water became sky and the sky became breath. For a moment there was no I, only presence, vast, radiant, still. It was the peace he had sought his entire life, and yet it had never been lost. It had waited quietly beneath every wave of effort. It was here, simple and eternal. He smiled without lips, felt joy without reason. The sea pulsed with the rhythm of his heart, or perhaps his heart pulsed with the rhythm of the sea. He could no longer tell which was which. Now, as you listen, let yourself drift into your own dreaming sea. You do not need to imagine it. You are already floating in it. Close your eyes. Inhale softly through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Each breath is a wave moving through you. Each pause between breaths is the still depth beneath. The sea dreams you as much as you dream it. You are its movement, its light, its silence. When thoughts arise, see them as waves of the mind. Temporary, beautiful, self-dissolving. Do not fight them. Let them crest and return. Even your worries belong to this rhythm. They are made of the same water as peace. The ocean grows quieter, only a deep hum remains. Akihiko opened his eyes again and found himself standing upon the surface of the water. It held him as though the laws of gravity had fallen away. He walked across the mirrored sea, each step rippling outward in circles of light. Far ahead he saw the horizon glowing like dawn. A figure stood there waiting. It was the old monk, Master Jotaro, though younger, luminous, smiling. "Master," Akihiko said, his voice trembling with wonder, "am I dreaming you?" Jotaro's reflection shimmered. Dream and reality are two names for the same ocean. When you wake, I will still be here, not as a man, but as the tide in your chest. Akihiko bowed. Then am I still myself? The master's form began to dissolve, blending with the light. You are the sea pretending to be a wave. When you remember that, you will never fear the shore again. He reached out and the figure vanished into brilliance. The horizon opened, the light spilling everywhere, washing over him like a sunrise without source. In that light, he saw everything, every breath ever taken, every life, every heartbeat. All of it shining, all of it resting. And then at last there was nothing left to see. Only stillness, vast and infinite, beyond form, beyond dream. Soft ambient tones. The sound of breathing becomes the sound of waves. Now breathe slowly, deeply. Feel the sea of sleep surrounding you. You do not sink, you are carried. The mind drifts, the body softens. The tide moves in and out of you with perfect ease. There is no separation between you and the water, between the breath and the world. Everything moves in rhythm, everything rests in stillness. You are not falling asleep. You are falling into peace. The sea will hold you until morning. You do not need to stay awake to keep it alive. It breathes for you. It dreams for you. Rest now in the great dreaming. You are home, eternal and whole, a single drop returning to its source. Soft chimes echo in the distance like dew drops falling into still water. The air is luminous, full of color, yet perfectly calm. From the great dreaming sea, light gathers and reshapes itself. It becomes a path of silver mist winding upward through silence. Akihiko follows without walking. His movement is the rhythm of thought. The water beneath his feet grows shallower until it turns to soft grass. The hum of the ocean fades into the whisper of wind through unseen leaves. He opens his eyes and finds himself standing at the entrance of a vast, glowing garden. It stretches endlessly in every direction, illuminated by no sun and yet brighter than dawn. Every flower emits its own soft light. Every petal moves as if breathing. This is the garden between worlds, the place where dreams rest before becoming life again. Here nothing grows by force and nothing fades without blessing. Akihiko takes a step forward. The ground feels warm beneath his feet. He looks around and notices there is no horizon, no boundary, only gentle layers of light fading into mystery. The air smells of jasmine, cedar, and rain after a long drought. Each inhalation feels like remembrance, each exhalation like forgiveness. He walks along a narrow path lined with low, glowing ferns. In the center of the garden stands a great tree whose branches seem woven from both gold and shadow. It is neither day nor night here. Both coexist. He approaches the tree and sees that it bears not fruit but small spheres of light, each one pulsing faintly like the rhythm of a sleeping heart. He reaches out, and one of the spheres descends gently into his palm. When he looks closely, he sees that the light contains movement. Scenes flowing within it like reflections in water. There is a child laughing, a mother's hand, the curve of a river at sunset, a stranger's kindness. These are not dreams. They are memories, not just his, but everyone's. A soft voice rises behind him. Do you see what the garden holds? He turns and finds a woman standing nearby. Her robe is simple, but light glows through it as though woven from moonlight. Her eyes are clear and kind. Yes, Akihiko says, they are memories. The woman smiles. They are moments the world has loved enough to keep. When pain is healed, when kindness is offered, when beauty is seen. That moment becomes a seed here. Each one grows into light. Akihiko bows. Then this garden is endless. It must be, she replies, for love has no ending. He looks down at the small sphere still resting in his palm. Its glow has changed. Softer now, yet more radiant. He feels warmth move through his body, a gentle tide that begins in the heart and spreads outward. He whispers, "May this light return to where it is needed." The woman nods. It already is. The sphere lifts from his palm and floats upward into the branches, merging with the others. As it does, the entire tree brightens and a low vibration moves through the garden. A soundless song, the hum of healing itself. Akihiko feels tears on his cheeks. He has no sadness left, only awe. The woman gestures toward a small pool near the tree. "Sit here," she says. "Look into the water." He kneels beside it. The surface is perfectly still, yet beneath it light moves like slow fire. When he gazes into it, he sees his reflection. But it is not his face as he knows it. It is the face of every person he has ever been, every life, every thought. "Hey, do you understand?" the woman asks. He nods slowly. "There was never one of me, only one of us." She smiles. "Yes, the garden belongs to all who remember that truth." Its soft harp and flute join together, their melody circular and calm. Now imagine yourself standing at the edge of that same garden. You can feel the air moving gently across your skin, warm and cool at once. The flowers glow faintly, breathing light with you. Inhale deeply. Feel the scent of rain and life. Exhale. Feel the body relax completely. You are surrounded by peace that does not need protecting. Every sound is kindness. Every silence is grace. Somewhere nearby, the great tree shimmers. You can sense its roots reaching deep into your being. Every heartbeat sends ripples of light across the garden. When you breathe in, you gather light. When you breathe out, you release it. This exchange never ends. It is the garden's way of praying. If you hold pain, offer it to the soil. The earth will take it without judgment, turning sorrow into nourishment. If you carry gratitude, release it into the air. The wind will spread it to those who need it most. Everything you give here grows into something beautiful. Nothing is lost. Even the quiet act of breathing becomes creation. Akihiko looks once more at the woman of light. "Will I stay here?" he asks. She shakes her head gently. "No one stays. The garden gives, then sends you onward. You came to rest. You will leave renewed. Where will I go?" "Wherever light is ready to take form again." He looks around, the branches, the glowing blossoms, the infinite horizon. "I will miss this peace," he says softly. She places her hand over his heart. "The garden never leaves you. It grows wherever you remember it." The garden begins to fade, its light folding inward like petals closing at dusk. Akihiko feels himself drifting again, lighter than air. The last thing he hears is the woman's voice, faint as breath. "You are the seed in the soil. Sleep and let new light grow." Each soft music fades to a single note that lingers like starlight. Now breathe, inhale. The garden blossoms within you. Exhale. Its fragrance fills the world. You are both dream and gardener, both memory and renewal. Every moment of kindness you have ever given still blooms somewhere in this vast, unseen garden. Rest here for a while. Let the body sink into calm. Let the heart open like a flower in moonlight. Sleep gently. You are safe in the garden between worlds. Soft instrumental strings hum beneath the sound of wind through wide corridors. A gentle bell echoes far away, then fades into silence. When the garden folded into light, Akihiko felt himself being carried upward, as though by an invisible current. The glow around him shimmered, reshaping into pillars, bridges, and golden streets that curved through clouds. He stood within a vast city made of light and memory, its walls alive, its towers breathing softly. This was the city of dreams, the place where imagination becomes form, and form returns to imagination. The air trembled with a low hum, the vibration of countless hearts dreaming together. Each building pulsed with stories, the laughter of children, the tears of lovers, the prayers of monks, the whisper of those asleep. It was not chaos, but a harmony too vast for the mind to grasp. Every dream was a note in a song older than time. Akihiko began to walk. His footsteps rang softly against streets that shimmered like water. Everywhere he looked, faces and places flickered in and out of existence. Not illusions, but moments becoming visible for an instant before returning to their source. He turned a corner and saw a narrow bridge stretching across an endless space. Beneath it, rivers of light flowed, not water, but memories. He crossed slowly, each step echoing faintly as though the bridge itself remembered him. Halfway across, he met a figure walking the other way. An old man dressed in a robe of woven silver threads. The man's eyes were calm, full of knowing. "Welcome, traveler," the old man said. "You have reached the city where all dreams meet. Here thought builds the world." Akihiko bowed. "Then I must step carefully." The man smiled. "Yes. In this place, even a single thought of fear will build a wall. A single thought of kindness will open a gate." Akihiko looked around. "And who lives here?" "All who are asleep," said the old man. "And all who are awake enough to see that life itself is a dream." They walked together through wide plazas lined with statues of shimmering glass. Each statue seemed alive, as though carved from the dreams of those who once loved deeply. "Every dream leaves an imprint," the man said. "The dreamer forgets, but the dream remembers." Akihiko gazed at one statue shaped like a young woman holding a small bird. He touched its surface and warmth spread through his fingers. The statue's eyes opened briefly, filled with gratitude before closing again. "Why did she thank me?" Akihiko asked. "Because you remembered her," said the man. "In this city, memory is a prayer." They continued walking until they reached a great square where fountains flowed not with water but with radiant mist. Each drop carried the reflection of another world. Akihiko leaned close and saw scenes unfolding inside the mist. People laughing, working, weeping, sleeping. "Are these dreams?" he asked. The old man nodded. "Dreams within dreams, the reflections of life itself. When you love, when you forgive, when you create you build a new street here." Akihiko smiled. "Then this city must be infinite." "It is," said the man, "because love never stops dreaming." As they spoke, the old man's form began to flicker like a candle in the wind. Akihiko reached out, concerned. "Are you leaving?" The man nodded. "I am only the echo of your own understanding. When you awaken, I return to silence." "Before you go," Akihiko said, "tell me one thing. How can I live awake in a world made of dreams?" The man's voice grew faint. "By seeing through the dream without trying to escape it. To wake is not to leave. It is to love without needing the dream to be different." Then his form dissolved into light, leaving behind only the sound of wind moving through the city's golden towers. Soft ethereal tones, wind chimes, and echoing footsteps. Now imagine yourself walking those same luminous streets. Each thought, each breath creates a ripple of light beneath your feet. What you carry within shapes what you see. If you walk with fear, the city darkens. If you walk with trust, it shines. You are the architect of your inner world. Every inhale builds a bridge. Every exhale opens a door. Look around you. See the buildings formed from your kindness, the windows shaped by forgiveness, the gardens grown from patience. This is your city. Every dream you have ever had still lives somewhere within it, shimmering, waiting to be understood. In the distance, you can hear a low melody, not from any instrument, but from the city itself. The sound rises and falls, familiar and infinite. It is the song of all living things dreaming together. Let that sound move through you now. Inhale, exhale. Feel the body lighten, the mind expand. You are both the listener and the song. The city of dreams is not far away. It is inside your own breath. Every time you close your eyes, its streets awaken. Every time you forgive, its lights grow brighter. Akihiko wandered until the towers began to fade into mist once more. The streets softened into light. The sound of the fountains became the rhythm of his heart. He realized he was not leaving the city. It was returning with him, folding itself into the quiet places of his soul. He whispered, "If all is a dream, may I dream with love." And the city answered, "Then you will never wake alone." The mist thickened. The ground beneath him turned again to air, to water, to the boundless sky. He felt himself falling, but there was no fear. Only the softness of surrender. The sound of waves returns, gentle, infinite. Now breathe again, slowly. Inhale the light of the city. Exhale its peace into the world. You are the dreamer, the dream, and the awakening. Every act of kindness is a new dawn rising within the infinite city. Every moment of rest is its night, serene and full of stars. Let the city of dreams fade into stillness now. Let its lights drift back into your heart. Sleep knowing you are never far from its golden streets. The dream continues, but you are free within it. You walk awake through the world, carrying light wherever you go. Rest, breathe, and dream gently. Soft wind, a single bell tone fading into deep space ambience, like breath suspended among constellations. When the golden mist of the city of dreams dissolved, Akihiko found himself floating once again in silence. But this time, the silence was alive, filled with a hum so vast it could not be called sound. He opened his eyes and saw light everywhere. He was surrounded by stars. They shimmered without boundary, spread across an infinite field of midnight blue. Each one pulsed softly as if breathing with him. He could feel their rhythm, slow, patient, eternal. He realized he was no longer walking or even drifting. He was the drifting, a speck of awareness gliding through the body of the universe. There was no direction to move, for there was nowhere to go that was not already here. This was the field of stars, where all things rest between moments of creation. Every light was both birth and remembrance, every shimmer the echo of a thought returning home. He felt no weight, no border. He did not need to breathe, but the cosmos breathed for him. A vast inhale, a tender exhale, slower than time itself. He looked at his hands and saw that they too were made of light. Each finger traced a line of gold through the darkness. When he moved, the space around him responded. Waves of brightness rippling outward like music made visible. The stars began to move in gentle spirals, forming patterns that felt familiar. They shaped themselves into faces, his teachers, his friends, even those he had once called strangers. Every light was a memory of connection. He realized that the same energy that made the stars also made love, kindness, and awareness. He whispered, "I am part of you," and the stars answered, "You always were." A single star drifted closer, glowing brighter than the rest. It pulsed softly, sending out waves that touched his heart with warmth. When it spoke, it did not use words. It communicated through feeling, a direct knowing that filled him with awe. You have traveled through silence and sound, through shadow and light, through dream and awakening, said the star. Now you must see that you were never traveling at all. Akihiko bowed his head. Then what was this journey? The light shimmered around him. The universe learning to look at itself with love. He closed his eyes, letting the meaning sink deeper than thought. Soft celestial tones expand like a slow rising chorus. Now imagine yourself lying beneath an open sky, the air cool and endless above you. The stars stretch in every direction. Their light has traveled billions of years to reach you, yet it arrives exactly on time. Breathe in that light. Feel it settle behind your eyes, in your chest, along your spine. You are not merely looking at the stars, you are remembering them. They live in the atoms of your body, in every molecule of air you breathe. Each time you exhale, the world shines a little brighter. Each time you inhale, the universe breathes you back into itself. There is no line between you and the infinite. There is only continuity, one heartbeat echoing through eternity. Akihiko gazed outward and saw constellations forming like living mandalas, spinning slowly in patterns too vast for reason. He understood now that every moment of life was another star, each act of kindness a new light born in the dark, and every sorrow, when held with compassion, became a small sun healing the shadows around it. He whispered, "Even pain can shine." The stars pulsed brighter in reply. Everything shines when seen from beyond itself. He floated there for what might have been minutes or eons. There was no difference. Time was the rhythm of his own awareness, expanding and returning. He began to notice something else. A faint, spiraling light in the distance, brighter than all others. It drew him gently, not with force, but with recognition. He moved toward it, though movement felt more like remembering how to be closer. As he neared, he saw that it was not one star, but countless stars clustered together, glowing with perfect unity. It was a galaxy, vast, luminous, alive with infinite motion. It looked like a single being breathing. And then he saw that the same spiral shape existed within his own chest, the pattern of his heartbeat, the dance of his breath. The galaxy outside mirrored the galaxy within. He realized, the universe is not something I observe. It is what I am observing itself through me. The stars began to sing, not with sound, but with vibration. Their song filled every space inside him until there was no listener left. He was the music now, the harmony of light and stillness entwined. The melody said without words, "You are enough, you are endless, you are home." Your soft piano joins the hum, delicate and tender. Breathe now, slowly, deeply. Feel the vastness expand within your chest. With each inhale, stars are born. With each exhale, galaxies rest. Your breath is the same rhythm that moves through the cosmos. You have never been small. You have only been dreaming of boundaries. The space you feel inside your heart is the same space that holds the Milky Way. The light you see when you close your eyes is the reflection of eternity smiling back. Akihiko drifted in peace. There was no temple to reach, no lesson left to learn. He whispered into the infinite silence, "What remains?" The answer came not as a word, but as a pulse of light through every star at once. Only love. It spread across the heavens, one endless breath that connected all things. He let himself dissolve into it completely, the edges of self falling away. The monk, the student, the dreamer, all became light among lights, and in that moment the universe exhaled. A single note of perfect stillness filled everything. Soft lingering hum like starlight fading. Now let your body become light. Feel every muscle soften, every thought open. The stars above are within you. Their calm belongs to you. You are not beneath them. You are among them. You are their echo, their continuation, their living dream. Rest here in the field of stars. There is no higher place to reach, no further to travel. You have already arrived. Sleep beneath the cosmic breath. The light will keep watch while you rest, and even when your eyes close, you will still shine. Soft wind, distant thunder like a slow heartbeat, the low hum of soil and rain merging together. From the field of stars, Akihiko felt himself begin to fall, not as descent, but as return. The light of the cosmos folded inward, wrapping him in its warmth, until the stars became fireflies drifting through mist. The infinite sky softened into clouds, the clouds into rain, the rain into the scent of living earth. He opened his eyes to find himself lying in a meadow beneath a sky of gentle gray. The air smelled of moss and cedar. Raindrops slid down the long blades of grass, glimmering like tiny mirrors of the heavens. He took a breath. The air was thick, sweet, and real. After the silence of space, the sound of rain was a kind of music, the voice of the earth singing him home. This was the dream of the earth, the great breathing that unites all things that grow. Here there were no temples, no teachers, no boundaries. Only soil remembering the stars that birthed it. He sat up slowly, his robe heavy with dew, and placed his palms flat upon the ground. The earth pulsed faintly beneath his skin. He could feel roots moving, worms twisting, seeds waiting. It was all alive, quietly, patiently, without hurry. A voice rose from the ground, low and deep like thunder, spoken softly. You have floated through dreams of sky and sea, of light and shadow. But you are also this, the body that rests, the breath that feeds the roots. He bowed his head. I had forgotten. The voice answered, every star longs to become soil again, to feel the weight of life growing upon it. You are that wish fulfilled. Tears filled his eyes, falling into the grass. The earth drank them greedily as though they were sacred rain. As he sat there, he noticed small movements all around. A snail inching along a stone, its shell catching drops of light. A spider repairing its web between the stems of bamboo. Tiny seeds sprouting unseen beneath the surface. He realized that this world, so ordinary, so tangible, was not less divine than the heavens. It was the same miracle wearing a denser form. He whispered, I am the earth dreaming of itself. The wind passed through the meadow, bending the grass in long waves. It felt like an answer. Soft cello music, slow and grounded. Now return with him. Feel your body, heavy, steady, alive. The stars you have seen are still within you, but now they are resting in the soil of your being. Your bones are mountains. Your blood is the river. Your breath is the wind moving through the forest. Inhale. Feel the world entering you. Exhale. Feel yourself returning to the world. Every inhale is birth. Every exhale, surrender. You are not separate from the planet that holds you. You are the dream it has been dreaming since the first rain fell on stone. Akihiko stood and began to walk through the meadow. The ground gave slightly beneath each step, soft as the body of the world. He passed through ferns and flowers that glowed faintly in the twilight. In their colors, he saw fragments of all he had learned. The stillness of ice, the patience of bamboo, the kindness of the beggar's smile, the balance of the lantern's flame, the echo of the mountain temple, the vastness of the sea. Everything he had ever been was here, growing in the soil of memory. He realized the journey had never been upward or outward. It had always been downward, into the roots of existence. He knelt and touched the ground again. It pulsed once more, and the voice returned. Do not seek heaven above. Heaven is the moment you honor the ground you stand upon. He bowed deeply, pressing his forehead to the soil. In that contact, he felt every creature breathing with him. Ants moving beneath the surface, birds hidden in branches, the sleeping fox in its den. Each one pulsed with the same rhythm. Life inhaling, life exhaling. He understood then that compassion was not a virtue but a truth. To love another was to recognize them as part of the same breath. Even the smallest insect carried the same light as the stars. He whispered, Forgive me, earth, for walking upon you without seeing. The wind stirred the trees in answer. And for a moment he felt the whole planet exhale in relief. Soft drum heartbeat enters, the rhythm of breath and pulse together. Now breathe as the earth breathes. Inhale, the cool scent of rain. Exhale, the warmth of sunlight returning to the sky. With each breath, your body softens. You can feel gravity as love, not weight. It is the earth's way of holding you close. You are not separate from nature. You are nature remembering itself. Every thought is a seed. Every act of kindness is rain. Every silence is fertile soil. Let yourself rest in that knowing. Even stillness grows. The clouds parted slightly, and Akihiko looked up. Through the breaks in the gray, he saw the faint glimmer of the stars he had left behind. They did not feel distant. They looked like roots growing upward, roots of light. He smiled, whispering, "As above, so below. As within, so without." He understood that the stars were the flowers of the earth, blooming in reverse. And the earth was the memory of the stars, longing to feel alive. The boundary between heaven and ground dissolved. He was both. The rain began again, gentle and warm. Each drop struck the soil like a bell. Akihiko closed his eyes and let it wash over him. When he exhaled, he could no longer tell if the air was leaving his lungs or entering the trees. He was breathing with the world. The voice of the earth spoke once more, softer now, fading into the rhythm of rain. "Sleep, my child of stars and soil. Rest in the dream that never ends." He lay back in the grass. The sound of rain became the sound of breath. The smell of earth became the scent of peace. And as he drifted into sleep, the planet itself seemed to breathe through him, the dreamer and the dream becoming one. Low hum of thunder softens into silence. Now breathe. Inhale through the nose. Feel the steadiness of the ground beneath you. Exhale through the mouth. Feel the warmth of life moving through everything. You are home in the body of the world. The dream continues gently, endlessly. Rest in the heartbeat of the earth. It will keep time for you while you sleep. Soft cello and flute. A sound like wind moving through tall grass, the pulse of a drum, slow and distant like a heartbeat. Morning came gently over the meadow. Mist lingered above the grass like a dream refusing to fade. Akihiko woke slowly, the memory of stars still flickering behind his eyes. The air was cool, fragrant with soil and rain. He sat up, stretching his hands toward the pale sunlight, and smiled. He felt the warmth of life everywhere, in the hum of insects, in the slow rhythm of the earth beneath him. It was not just awareness, it was connection, a pulse shared by everything that breathed. As he sat quietly, a shadow moved at the edge of the field. A small deer had come to drink from a puddle near the stones. Its movements were delicate, cautious, perfect. When it raised its head and met his gaze, he saw no fear, only recognition. In that instant, Akihiko understood that compassion was not an act of giving. It was the natural state of knowing we belong to each other. The deer lowered its head again, and he bowed in return. Two beings, one heartbeat. He rose and began walking through the forest, the sun rising higher behind the branches. Each beam of light passed through the leaves, creating patches of warmth upon his skin. Everywhere he looked, life shimmered with the same gentle awareness. The rustle of a bird's wing, the whisper of roots beneath the soil, even the silence between sounds. As he walked, he remembered Master Ryun's words. The heart must open again and again until it forgets how to close. He paused by a stream and knelt to drink. The water tasted of stone and cloud. As he cupped it in his hands, a memory surfaced. The beggar Sora, holding his empty bowl. He heard the beggar's laughter in his mind. If it is empty, it holds the sky. Akihiko smiled. Then my heart too is a bowl, one that never empties when it gives. Further along the path, he came upon a village. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys and children played in the dust. The scent of cooking rice drifted on the wind. A woman sat by the road, her hands pressed to her face, weeping quietly. Akihiko approached and bowed. "Are you in pain, sister?" She looked up, startled. "My husband has fallen ill," she said. "We have no medicine and the healer is far away." Akihiko reached into his robe. He had nothing, no food, no coin, only the warmth that filled his chest. He took her hands gently and said, "Then let me share what I have." He closed his eyes and breathed slowly, letting the rhythm of the earth flow through him. Each inhale drew in the strength of life. Each exhale carried peace toward her. He felt no effort, only love moving where it was needed. When he opened his eyes, the woman's tears had stopped. She said, "I feel lighter, as though something has lifted." Akihiko smiled. That is compassion, not from me to you, but through both of us. It flows naturally when nothing blocks its way. That night, as he rested near the village, he dreamed of a great river of light flowing through the world. It wound through mountains, across cities, through hearts both kind and cruel. It did not choose. It did not judge. It simply nourished everything it touched. He saw that this river was compassion itself, the eternal current that connects all beings. Wherever someone wept, it flowed. Wherever someone forgave, it brightened. And wherever someone loved, it overflowed. He realized he had seen this river before, in the forest, in the sea, even in the silent breath between words. It had always been there, waiting to be remembered. Soft, slow choral hum, gentle and tender. Now let that same river move through you. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly through your nose. Exhale gently through your mouth. Feel the breath entering like light, spreading warmth through the body. With each inhale, compassion rises. With each exhale, it flows outward. Imagine that this light is not yours alone. It connects you to every living thing. The trees breathe with you. The ocean tides move with your heart. The stars pulse with your rhythm. There is no separation here. Only the vast web of being, endlessly giving, endlessly receiving. When thoughts arise, let them pass like leaves upon the water. They do not stop the flow. They are carried by it. If pain visits, do not push it away. Let compassion hold it gently as the river holds fallen branches. In that embrace, suffering begins to soften, to change shape, to glow. Breathe again, deep, kind, full of grace. Feel how peace expands not by effort, but by permission. Akihiko woke before dawn. The stars were fading, and the first light of morning spread across the sky. He could hear the village stirring and roosters crowing, footsteps on the paths, the sound of life beginning again. He smiled and whispered to himself, "The dream of compassion never ends, it only changes form." He looked at his hands, once again empty, yet they seemed to shine faintly with warmth. He realized that compassion was not something he could hold or lose. It was what he was made of. As the sun rose, the light touched everything equally. The trees, the roofs, the faces of those waking. No one had to earn it. It simply shone. Its soft music fades, replaced by slow wind and heartbeat rhythm. Now breathe in that same morning light. Let it fill your lungs, your mind, your heart. Let it remind you that kindness is not a task. It is the natural movement of life when fear dissolves. Breathe out gently, sending peace into the world without effort. You do not have to try to love. You only have to stop resisting what is already love. As Master Jotaro once said, compassion is the echo of the universe remembering itself. Let that echo vibrate through you now, soft, infinite, and full of light. You are part of that river of mercy, flowing through every being. Even when you sleep, compassion dreams through you. Even when you wake, it breathes beside you. Rest now within that boundless kindness. Let it wash away the last traces of worry. Let it carry you like a leaf upon the water, not lost, but guided. The dream continues, gentle and eternal. You are loved because you are love. Sleep and let the river flow. Soft wind through paper doors, faint temple bells, and the crackle of a candle flame. The world breathes slowly again. After many seasons wandering through dreams and oceans, Akihiko felt the path leading him back. The fields, forests, and rivers seemed to bow as he passed, as if they recognized him, or as if he was recognizing them for the first time. The road wound upward, back toward the mountains. Mist gathered between the trees. The air was cool, fragrant with pine and distant rain. By the second evening he saw it, the small temple of his youth half hidden among the cypress trees. Its roof glistened faintly in the twilight. The sight filled him with an emotion beyond words. Not pride, not nostalgia, but a deep quiet, the kind that comes when a long circle closes. He crossed the wooden bridge and entered through the gate. The courtyard was almost exactly as he remembered. The same stone paths, The same old lanterns covered in moss, the same silence between the bells. And yet everything felt alive, pulsing softly with a peace that seemed to rise from the very stones. He whispered, "I have returned." Inside, Master Jotaro sat by a single candle. He looked older, though his eyes were the same, calm, vast, and filled with laughter that needed no sound. Akihiko bowed deeply. The master gestured for him to sit. "The journey has been long." "Yes," said Akihiko, lowering himself to the floor. "But I see now it was never truly far. I walked the world only to find it was always inside this temple." The old monk nodded. "Stillness has many disguises. It wears the faces of rivers, forests, cities, stars. But it is always the same presence, patient, waiting to be noticed." He poured tea into 2 small cups. The scent of roasted leaves filled the air. As Akihiko lifted his cup, the warmth settled through his palms, through his breath, through his heart. He asked, "Master, why did you send me away?" Jotaro smiled. "Because stillness that has never moved is only sleep. Stillness that has seen motion and remained whole. That is wisdom." They drank their tea in silence. Outside, a breeze stirred the bamboo. The sound was soft, rhythmic. The heartbeat of the temple itself. After a while, Akihiko said, "I used to think enlightenment was a door to enter. Now I see it is a window always open." The master chuckled. "And who was holding it closed?" Akihiko smiled. "Only me." The old monk nodded. "Then you have learned well. The house of stillness has no walls, no roof. It moves wherever awareness rests." Later that night, Akihiko walked through the corridors alone. Candles flickered in their alcoves. He could hear the faint dripping of water in the garden basin outside. Every sound echoed like a mantra, every shadow like a friend. He reached the meditation hall where he had once sat as a novice, where he had first struggled to understand silence. Now the room seemed different. It breathed with him. He knelt and bowed. There on the cushion before him lay a single folded robe. He recognized it, his own robe from years ago, cleaned and mended. Beneath it was a note written in the master's hand. "Welcome home, traveler. The cushion has been waiting for you, but you were never gone." Akihiko smiled. He sat upon the cushion, crossed his legs, and closed his eyes. There was no goal, no technique, no effort, only the soft rhythm of breath meeting breath. The air felt warm, the walls alive. Every lesson he had ever learned, from ice and bamboo, from shadow and stars, was present in that single inhale and exhale. He had not brought them back. They had always been breathing through him. Soft music, slow heartbeat rhythm. Now return to your own house of stillness. It does not need to be built. It is already here. Close your eyes. Inhale gently through the nose. Exhale softly through the mouth. Notice the space between breaths. That quiet moment when nothing is held, nothing is forced. That is your house of stillness. You have never left it, though the mind often wanders through worlds and worries. Every time you pause, every time you remember to breathe, the door opens again. Look within yourself. There is a small flame that never flickers, no matter how strong the wind. It has watched you through joy and sorrow, through waking and sleeping, through every journey you have taken. It is not waiting for enlightenment. It is enlightenment, already awake. Breathe with that flame now. With each inhale, it brightens. With each exhale, it spreads through the body, softening every edge. The heart slows. The mind grows wide and quiet. The body becomes light, yet grounded, like a mountain breathing clouds. Outside the temple, the rain began again. The sound mixed with the hush of the night, a lullaby older than words. Akihiko sat unmoving, yet inside him all things moved in perfect harmony. The master's words returned to him. Stillness is not the absence of motion. It is the peace that allows all motion to be. He smiled, the smile of one who has remembered rather than learned. Then he whispered, "Thank you, Master. Thank you, world." In the silence that followed, he could feel the temple breathing, one vast inhalation of existence itself. He joined it, breath for breath. Music fades to near silence. Only a slow heartbeat remains. Now breathe as he does. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Let all sounds become part of the stillness. Let thoughts drift like leaves across the courtyard of your mind. You do not need to stop them. They will settle on their own. You are home, you are safe, you are whole. The house of stillness lives wherever you are. In the pause between words, in the space between heartbeats, in the gentle act of resting your attention on now. Sleep within it. Let the world move softly around you. And remember, you are never far from peace. It has always been sitting quietly, waiting for you to notice. Soft rustle of dawn wind through temple eaves, a faint bird call, and the low tone of a bell fading into the pale air. The night withdrew like a slow breath. Shadows folded themselves into corners, and the first strands of light slipped between the wooden panels of the meditation hall. Akihiko opened his eyes. He had not slept, yet he felt rested, as though the entire night had been one long, gentle inhale. Outside, the world was waking. The sound of bamboo tapping in the wind, a few drops of water falling from the roof, the first cries of crows in the valley below. Everything moved, yet nothing disturbed the stillness. The world was alive, and so was he. Not separate, but continuous. He rose quietly and stepped into the courtyard. Mist hung over the stones, soft and luminous. He could feel the warmth of the coming day pressing faintly against his skin. In the distance, the sun was climbing the ridge, its light spilling slowly through the trees. It was not bright or sudden. It returned with patience, the way memory does when it no longer needs to prove itself. He walked to the small basin near the gate and dipped his hands into the cold water. He watched the ripples expand, each circle reflecting both the sky above and his own face. For a moment, they were indistinguishable. The sky and the self, two mirrors looking into one another. He whispered, "There is no awakening apart from this moment." And as the sunlight touched the surface, the reflection vanished into brilliance. Master Jotaro appeared behind him, his steps as light as wind on water. "The day has returned," he said softly. Akihiko bowed. "As it always does." The master smiled. "And what returns with it?" Akihiko thought for a moment, then replied, "Everything that was never lost." The old monk nodded. "Good. That is the heart of practice. To wake not to a new world, but to the same world seen clearly." He placed a hand on Akihiko's shoulder. "Tell me, what will you do now?" Akihiko looked toward the valley. Smoke from morning fires curled upward from the village. He could hear faint laughter, the sound of a child running. "I will walk," he said. "I will live among them. The stillness must move." Jotaro's eyes softened. "Then the light will walk with you." The two stood together as the sun cleared the horizon, bathing the courtyard in gold. The shadows melted away. Every drop of dew shone like a jewel. For a long time, neither spoke. Words seemed unnecessary in the presence of such completeness. Then the master said, "The true temple is the day itself. Every breath you take in the sunlight is prayer, and every step you make with awareness is a bow." Akihiko bowed deeply. "Then I will continue bowing." Jotaro laughed quietly. "That is enough." He turned and walked toward the meditation hall. His robes fluttered softly, blending with the sound of wind. When Akihiko looked again, the master had already disappeared into the brightness. Soft flute melody rises with the dawn. Now breathe with the morning. Inhale through the nose, slow and cool. Exhale through the mouth, warm and kind. Each breath is the sun returning through you. Each exhale is the earth awakening beneath your feet. Notice how the air feels on your skin. Light, moving, alive. This is what renewal truly means. Not change, but recognition. Every morning is the same gift offered again, wrapped in new colors. Take another breath. Inhale. Feel gratitude rising in your chest. Exhale. Release it gently into the world. The light returning is not only around you, it is within you. Akihiko walked down the temple steps, through the gate, and onto the mountain path. The stones were damp from dew. His sandals made soft sounds as he descended. The valley opened before him, rivers glinting like silver threads, fields bright with new growth. He felt no urgency, no desire to reach anywhere. Every step was enough. He noticed how every living thing moved toward the light. The bending grass, the turning leaves, even the sleeping petals of flowers unfurling. He whispered, "Everything worships in its own way." He stopped beside a small stream. The water flowed quickly, laughing over stones. He crouched and watched it, realizing that it was the same water that once fell as rain, that once filled the sea, that once reflected the stars. The same, always returning, always new. He cupped his hands and drank. It tasted of everything he had ever known. Soft strings and choral hum, the sound of dawn fully alive. Now imagine that you are standing in that same morning light. Feel the warmth brush across your face. The night's coolness lingers at your back, but the day is calling you forward. Breathe with it. Inhale the freshness of beginnings. Exhale the comfort of letting go. You do not have to carry yesterday. The sun rises without asking what you have done. It shines simply because it cannot do otherwise. Let your kindness be like that, effortless, bright, and constant. Each morning is forgiveness made visible. Each breath is a reminder that you are allowed to start again. Akihiko followed the path until the temple vanished behind the trees. He did not look back. The silence that had once felt like absence now felt like presence, walking beside him in every sound. Birdsong, laughter, wind in bamboo, all of it was prayer. He realized that the master was right. The true temple had no walls. It was the living moment itself. He smiled, not because he had reached the end, but because he finally understood there was no end. The light had never gone. It had only been waiting for him to open his eyes. Soft music fades to the sound of wind moving through open fields. Now breathe again. Let the light of this moment fill you completely. There is nothing you must fix, nothing to earn. You are already the sunrise returning to itself. When you breathe, you bring the world to life. When you rest, the world rests with you. The day begins and peace walks beside you, not behind, not ahead, but here with every heartbeat. Rest in that knowing. The light is returning. It always has been. Soft chime of temple bells fading into a low hum. A gentle wind rises, carrying the faint rhythm of footsteps on stone. The path from the temple wound down the mountain in wide, slow turns. As Akihiko descended, he felt no pull to hurry. The journey that had once felt long and uncertain now moved by itself, as natural as breathing. Birds darted through the trees. Their wings cut small paths of silence in the air. He noticed how easily they moved between ground and sky, never questioning which realm they belonged to. He smiled. Perhaps enlightenment is like flight, he thought. Not escape, but belonging to both worlds. The forest opened into a wide meadow where the wind moved through the grass like a tide. The sound reminded him of the ocean, and for a moment he could almost taste the salt of distant waves. He realized that every place he had ever been, the sea, the city, the stars, had brought him back here to the same quiet presence breathing in all directions. He whispered, "The journey was never to somewhere new. It was to remember what never leaves." As he walked, he came upon an old traveler resting by the roadside. The man's robe was faded, his sandals worn. He looked up and smiled as Akihiko approached. "Brother," the traveler said, "when the road behind you must be long." Akihiko nodded. "Long enough to see that distance is only an illusion." The old man laughed, the sound rich and kind. "Then you have seen the circle." "The circle?" Akihiko asked. The traveler drew a circle in the dust with his walking stick. "This is the path of all things. Every beginning hides its end, and every ending begins again." Even light, which seems to travel endlessly, always returns to itself. He looked up. When you understand this, you no longer fear loss, for what leaves returns in another form. Akihiko bowed. Then even sorrow is a kind of return. The traveler nodded. Yes, every tear joins the ocean again. He smiled and pointed down the road. Go on, brother. You'll find that the end of the path looks very much like its beginning. Akihiko turned to thank him, but the old man was gone. Only the circle remained, slowly being erased by the wind. He continued walking. The road grew softer beneath his feet until it felt like cloud and memory. Ahead, the landscape shimmered. The hills, the fields, the horizon, all blending into one great curve of light. It reminded him of the reflection he had once seen in the beggar's bowl, a world contained within emptiness. He remembered the master's words, the one who knows his own shadow carries light that cannot fade. He felt the truth of it now, that life's movement between darkness and light was itself the balance, the completion, the endless circle of becoming and returning. He whispered, everything that was still is, everything that is already returns. Soft music and slow percussion like footsteps on hollow ground. Now breathe with him. Inhale through the nose, feeling the air fill your body. Exhale through the mouth, letting the breath complete its circle. Notice how every inhale leads naturally into exhale, and how every exhale becomes the invitation for another breath. This is the circle, the rhythm that connects all things. There is no beginning, no end. When you were born, you began with an inhale. When you leave this world, you will finish with an exhale. Between those two breaths is the great dance of life, expanding, contracting, learning, resting. It is all one movement, one circle, one continuous prayer. Let your breath move now without control. Feel how it guides itself, the same intelligence that moves the tide and the stars. You are being breathed by the universe. Akihiko reached the foot of the mountain. There stood the same river where the merchant Daizo had once met the monk Tetsugen long ago. The water shimmered in the sun, flowing with the same ease as always. He knelt and touched it, and the current recognized him, not as a man returning, but as water meeting water. He whispered, I began here, I end here, I have never left. He cupped the river in his hands and watched as it slipped through his fingers, returning to its source. He smiled. Even letting go is a form of holding. The wind stirred the reeds, and for a moment he could almost see the faces of all those he had met along his journey. Master Jotaro, the beggar Sora, Kenji and the melting ice, Hiroshi and his patient bamboo, the lantern light and its shadow, the stars themselves. All of them shimmered briefly in the water, reflections of a single truth. Nothing is lost. He stood and looked across the valley. The temple above him was hidden by clouds, but he could still feel its stillness pulsing like a heartbeat behind the sky. He took a deep breath and began walking again, not toward or away, but within. Each step was the circle continuing. Each breath was the world remembering itself. Soft flute and chime, the melody of return. Now breathe again. Feel the circle of air moving through you. Each breath begins, ends, and begins again, effortless, complete. Notice that the same peace you felt in stillness also moves in motion. There is no boundary between the two. The stillness is the motion is the stillness. The circle holds both eternally. Akihiko reached a small hill where the grass moved like waves. He sat and closed his eyes. The sun warmed his face, the wind cooled his hands. He felt the heartbeat of the earth beneath him, slow and steady. He understood now that he did not need to seek any higher state. The journey had been not to transcend the world, but to belong to it completely, to see the sacred in the ordinary, the eternal in the fleeting, the beginning in every ending. He smiled, whispering, all things return to peace because peace is where they began. You soft silence, a single breath, then faint choral voices rising like dawn. Now rest in that truth. You are part of the same circle. your breath, your thoughts, your dreams, all moving, all returning, all complete. There is nowhere to go that is not home. There is no step that is not part of the way. Breathe once more. Inhale. The world begins. Exhale. The world returns. You are the circle itself, endless, luminous, whole. Sleep within its rhythm. Let it hold you until morning, and know, when you wake, that you have never left. Soft, rhythmic footsteps through leaves. The sound of sandals brushing against earth. A breeze moves lightly through the reeds, carrying the scent of pine and water. After the circle of return, the road no longer felt like a line between places. It felt alive, as though the path itself was walking with him. Akihiko moved easily, each step guided not by will but by rhythm. He was not traveling to reach somewhere. He was simply allowing the world to move beneath him. The morning light shimmered through bamboo leaves, painting shifting patterns on the path. Birdsong drifted between the trees, fragments of melodies that sounded both ancient and new. Somewhere ahead, a stream whispered its endless story to the stones. He thought of all his teachers and their lessons, of patience, compassion, stillness, and surrender. Each had given him a thread, and together they had woven the cloth he now walked upon. He whispered to the breeze, "Thank you for being the same wherever I go." This was the gentle path, the way of living that does not strain to reach the destination because every step is already arrival. As he walked through a narrow pass, he came upon an old farmer tending to a patch of soil. The man wore a straw hat and hummed to himself as he planted seedlings in careful rows. Akihiko paused, watching the steady rhythm of his movements. The farmer looked up and smiled. "Good morning, traveler." "And to you," said Akihiko. "Your work seems peaceful." The farmer chuckled. "Peaceful? Sometimes. Other times the earth has its own moods, but even on hard days the ground always gives what you give to it." He patted the soil gently. "You see, it does not demand perfection. It only asks for attention." Akihiko nodded. "The soil and the heart are not so different." The farmer grinned. "You understand already." He handed Akihiko a small seed and said, "Plant this, not for the world, not for the harvest, just to remember." Akihiko pressed the seed into the earth and covered it with his hand. The soil felt cool and alive. He said, "I will remember." The farmer bowed slightly. Then the seed is already growing. Soft shakuhachi flute drifts in, slow and meditative. The path continued through hills blanketed in tall grass. The wind moved through it like water through silk. Akihiko noticed how the grass bowed with each gust, then rose again, always returning to its place. It bent without breaking, flexible, patient, faithful to the wind. He thought, so must the heart move, not resisting life's touch, not clinging to its calm. Every step became a prayer. Not a prayer for something, but a prayer of being. The body, the breath, the earth, and the sky moving in unison. When afternoon came, the road descended into a small village. Children were playing beside the river, splashing and laughing. Elders sat beneath trees, weaving baskets and sharing stories. Akihiko walked among them, unnoticed yet deeply connected. He saw the same light in their faces that he had seen in the stars. The same rhythm in their laughter that he had felt in the sea. Life, he realized, was simply awareness taking infinite forms. A little girl ran up to him and offered him a flower. "It's for you," she said shyly. He accepted it, bowing slightly. "For me or for the world?" She grinned. "It's the same thing, isn't it?" He laughed softly. "Yes, it is." That evening, he followed the river to a quiet meadow and sat beneath a willow tree. The air was warm, full of the scent of water and grass. He placed the flower beside him and closed his eyes. In the distance, frogs began to sing, and fireflies rose from the reeds like floating lanterns. Each light blinked in its own rhythm, yet together they formed a single harmony. The language of presence. He breathed deeply and felt the same peace that had lived in the temple, in the stars, and in the sea. It had never changed, only moved through different shapes. He whispered, "The path is gentle because it is not mine. It walks itself." Soft hum, rhythmic and soothing. Now walk the gentle path with him. You don't need to move, only breathe. Inhale through the nose. Feel the ground beneath you solid and kind. Exhale through the mouth. Feel the weight leave your body like dust carried by wind. Each breath is a step. Each moment is a destination. You do not have to rush toward peace. It is here waiting beneath your next inhale. The gentle path does not promise that the road will always be smooth. It only teaches that you can walk softly, even over stones. Breathe again, light, steady, trusting. The road unfolds with your breath. Akihiko lay down in the meadow and watched the fireflies above him. Their glow shimmered against the deepening sky. He thought of the words his master once spoke. The light that guides you is the same light that rests within you. He closed his eyes and felt the truth of it. The light in his chest flickered gently, in rhythm with the fireflies, in rhythm with the stars. He no longer sought understanding. He was understanding. He no longer reached for peace. He was peace. The road, the breath, the world, all one continuous motion of love remembering itself. Soft flute fades into crickets and the hush of evening. Now breathe one more time with the night. Inhale. The stars rise. Exhale. The earth rests. You are the traveler, the road, and the stillness that carries both. You do not need to arrive. You are already home. Sleep if you wish. The gentle path will continue walking for you softly without end. Soft ambient wind tones, the rustle of distant leaves, and the faint rhythm of ocean waves merging with slow breathing. The evening deepened into stillness. The fireflies had vanished into the tall grass, and the sky above was a vast bowl of darkness. Akihiko lay upon the ground, his head resting on his folded robe, watching as the first stars began to appear. Each light shimmered gently as though waking from its own long dream. He remembered the field of stars he had once drifted through, infinite, luminous, without form. Now they had returned to the sky, smaller in appearance but no less infinite in truth. He smiled. "Even the stars rest and rise again," he whispered. This was the night of returning stars, when everything he had seen, learned, and released came back as quiet light. He was no longer searching for meaning. He was surrounded by it. The silence between the stars was as full as the stars themselves. The air grew cooler, the rhythm of crickets slowing. A soft wind moved through the meadow, brushing the grass against his skin. He felt it as both touch and breath. The world breathing through him, around him, and within him. In the distance, he heard the faint sound of the river flowing, its voice softer now, like a lullaby spoken by the earth. The horizon glowed faintly with the last memory of daylight. He whispered, "Everything returns to rest." And in that moment, even the thought faded into the quiet. He closed his eyes. The darkness was not absence. It was depth. Inside it, he felt every place he had ever been, every sound, every silence. The mountain temple, the merchant's river, the ice that melted, the bamboo that waited, the lantern and its shadow, the garden of light, the sea and the stars. All of it breathed as one. He realized that enlightenment was not a single light, but a constellation, many small understandings shining together until the sky of the heart became whole. He smiled softly, and tears gathered at the corners of his eyes, not of sorrow but of completion. Soft cello begins, low and slow, like the pulse of night itself. Now let yourself rest beneath the same sky. Close your eyes and breathe gently. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Each breath you take now is a star returning to the sky. Each exhale is the night opening to receive it. You are lying beneath infinity, and infinity is lying within you. There is no separation between the two. You are the silence that gives the stars their meaning. When the mind begins to wander, let it drift like a cloud across the night. The stars will still be there when it passes. You cannot lose the light that lives within you. In his half-sleep, Akihiko began to dream. though it felt more like remembering. He was walking once more through the fields of stars, but now they were reflected in an endless sea. Each step created ripples of light that stretched outward, never ending. And as he moved, the stars above and below merged into a single shimmering expanse. From far away, a voice spoke, calm, ageless, familiar. The journey is not from earth to sky, but from forgetting to remembering. He turned toward the sound but saw no figure, only radiance. He asked, "Then what remains when all is remembered?" The voice replied, "Only love, and the gentle wish for all beings to rest." The words filled him with warmth so deep that even his bones seemed to glow. He lay still and let the feeling move through him until it became his breath. Hours passed unnoticed. The stars wheeled overhead in their patient rhythm, each one a silent prayer moving through space. The river whispered nearby, echoing the same endless message. Return, return, return. Akihiko felt himself growing lighter with every breath, as if the body were dissolving into the sky. There was no fear, only peace, vast, soft, eternal. He thought of Master Jotaro's voice. All journeys end in the same place they began, in the quiet heart of now. He whispered, "Then I am already home." Soft flute melody enters, rising and fading with the wind. Now feel the same peace settling over you. Your body grows heavy, yet your heart feels weightless. The stars above are the same stars within your breath. Inhale. Feel light entering your chest. Exhale. Let it expand outward to fill the space around you. There is no effort here. You are not trying to sleep. Sleep is already arriving, soft as moonlight on water. The stars do not rush to shine. They glow by simply being. So too, your peace needs no effort. It arises naturally from the stillness that has always been yours. Akihiko opened his eyes once more just before they closed in rest. The stars above were countless, but one stood brighter than all the others. It pulsed gently, sending waves of light across the sky. He recognized it, the same star that had once spoken to him in the field of stars. He whispered to it, "Thank you." The light shimmered in reply, and in its glow he could see the faint outline of his master's face, smiling. Then slowly, it faded back into the night, leaving only the silence of completion. Soft silence, faint wind through grass. Now breathe once more. Inhale. The stars rise. Exhale. The world rests. You have walked the path, and the path now walks you. You have listened to silence until silence began to sing. Sleep beneath the returning stars. They will keep watch just as awareness keeps watch within you. Nothing more is needed. Nothing more must be done. The night holds you gently as it holds all things, with love, with patience, with infinite calm. Sleep now. You are home. Low hum of wind and ocean, the pulse of a slow heartbeat blends with the rhythm of distant waves. The night grew deeper, yet no darkness remained. It was as though the stars had dissolved into the air, filling it with quiet radiance. Akihiko no longer saw their shapes. He felt them, within every breath, every pause, every space between one thought and the next. The air was alive, breathing through him and around him. He began to sense that his inhalations were not his own. Something vast and gentle was breathing for him, an unseen presence moving through the entire world. He realized he had arrived within the breath of the world, the eternal pulse that connects all life. It was not merely air. It was spirit, energy, and consciousness woven together. It was the same breath that stirred the oceans, moved the clouds, and whispered through every leaf. And now it was moving through him, effortlessly, endlessly. He thought, "The world breathes, and I am its exhale." He sat upright in the meadow, though he felt weightless, as if gravity had forgotten its duty. The wind passed through the trees, then through him, as though he were transparent. The breath of the world entered him, filled him, and left again without resistance. There was no need to control it, no need to claim it. He was both the inhalation and the exhalation, both the stillness and the motion between. In the distance, thunder murmured softly over the mountains. Not storm, but heartbeat. Even the sky was alive with breathing. He whispered, "Everything that lives moves to this rhythm." He remembered the words his teacher once spoke. The earth inhales to create and exhales to rest. When you align with that rhythm, you return to the center of peace. Now he understood. Soft vibration deepens, the sound of wind and low chanting hum together. He lay back on the grass, letting the breath of the world move him like a tide. Each inhale lifted him slightly, each exhale set him down again. He began to hear faint sounds beneath the wind. Voices, perhaps, though they were too vast to belong to people. It was the earth itself singing. He could hear rivers chanting, mountains murmuring, trees sighing in endless meditation. Every form of life was participating in the same breath. He whispered, "So this is prayer, not words, but rhythm." The moment he said it, the sound grew louder, not with volume, but with presence. It enveloped him completely until he could no longer tell where his breath ended and the world's began. Time lost all meaning. He drifted between waking and dreaming, between awareness and surrender. He saw images of everything he had loved, faces, stars, rivers, temples. But they were no longer separate. Each one breathed as one body, and through that body pulsed the same rhythm, slow, calm, eternal. He heard the voice of the world speaking without language. "You are the inhale of the stars and the exhale of the earth. When you rest, I rest. When you breathe, I live." He felt a tear slip from his eye, though he did not know if it was from joy or awe. It fell onto the soil and disappeared immediately as if the world had been waiting for it. Soft ocean sounds fade into a deep, sustained note, the resonance of being. Now breathe with the world. Inhale through the nose. Let the air expand through your chest and belly. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Feel the earth soften beneath you. There is no need to rush. You are not pulling the air, it is offering itself to you. You are not pushing it away, it is returning to itself. Inhale, the universe expands. Exhale, the universe rests. You are the rhythm. When the mind grows quiet, the body becomes the world's instrument. Each heartbeat a drum, each breath a wave. The earth moves with you, the stars keep time. Akihiko opened his eyes and found himself staring at the night sky again. The stars seemed closer now, bright and near, as if they were breathing with him. He raised a hand and saw a faint light flickering between his fingers, the same light that filled the heavens. He whispered, "I am not beneath them, I am among them." A gentle wind brushed against his face, the same wind that had once carried the scent of incense through the temple halls, the same wind that had rippled across the sea, the same breath that had stirred the bamboo leaves. It had never been different. It had always been this. He understood now that the breath of the world was also the breath of love, the energy that held everything together without demand, without control. A soft choral hum, one voice, then many. Now breathe again. Inhale. The stars draw near. Exhale. The world sighs through you. Each breath you take is ancient. It has passed through mountains, oceans, forests, and countless hearts before arriving in you. When you exhale, it continues its journey, carrying your peace into the next being, the next tree, the next dawn. This is how the world heals itself, through shared breath, through shared awareness. You are not apart from it, you are it. Akihiko felt sleep rising deep and luminous. He let it come without resistance, knowing it was not the end of awareness, but its deepest expression. He was being drawn back into the heart of stillness, where breath and silence meet. The voice of the world spoke one final time. "Rest now, my child of wind and soil." The breath continues. The world watches over you. He smiled, his last thought dissolving into peace. Then he exhaled, not as a man, but as the world itself breathing out into eternity. There's soft silence, only the faint pulse of wind remains. Now rest. You are breathing with the mountains and the sea. You are inhaling for the stars and exhaling for the earth. There is nothing to seek, nothing to fear, only the rhythm of life continuing through you endlessly. Let the breath guide you into the deepest sleep. The sleep that is not forgetting but remembering that all is one. The breath of the world continues, it will cradle you until morning. Soft flute and light chimes, a slow dawn rising sound, distant birds calling through a veil of mist. Somewhere, beyond sleep and dream, the first light begins to stir. It does not rush. It spreads with patience, like breath filling the horizon. The sky turns from black to indigo to gold, from gold to the pale shimmer of awakening. Akihiko feels the warmth touch his face. He does not open his eyes immediately. He lets the light move through his closed lids, filling his body as if the sun is rising inside him. Each ray feels like a breath, the continuation of the world's exhale. He is not separate from the morning. He is the morning, the light remembering itself after the long dream of night. The wind carries the scent of cedar and wet grass. Birdsong weaves through the air, not as noise but as rhythm, a gentle pulse of life. He breathes once, deeply, and the air tastes new. He breathes again, and the earth seems to breathe with him. This is the eternal morning, where waking and sleeping, silence and sound, self and world are all one movement of light. He opens his eyes. The meadow stretches before him, dew shimmering like stars fallen to earth. The river sparkles nearby, its surface trembling with light. Every blade of grass, every stone, every cloud seems alive, radiant with quiet joy. He rises slowly, feeling the soft weight of his robe, the coolness of the air against his skin. He looks at his hands. The same hands that once grasped for understanding, now simply resting, open. Nothing is missing. Nothing needs to be held. He whispers, "The night has become the day, but the peace has not changed." He remembers the first teaching of his master. When you wake, do not look for light. Be the light that looks. Now he understands. The light does not belong to the sun or the stars. It belongs to awareness itself. It shines wherever attention rests, illuminating even the smallest moments of being alive. He begins walking toward the river. Each step leaves a faint imprint in the dew, which disappears a moment later, absorbed back into the earth. It reminds him that presence does not mean permanence. It means participation. To live fully is to let every step vanish into its own completion. At the water's edge, he kneels. The surface mirrors the sky, trembling slightly in the wind. He cups his hands and lifts the water to his face. It is cool and sweet, carrying the taste of stone, sky, and time. As he drinks, he whispers, "This is the same water that once carried my reflection in the temple pool, that once flowed through rivers and seas, that once rose as clouds above the stars. There has only ever been one water." He laughs softly, not from humor but from the simplicity of it all. Soft strings swell, warm and steady, as if the air itself is smiling. Now breathe with the morning. Inhale through the nose. Feel the freshness of a new day filling your chest. Exhale slowly. Release the remnants of sleep, of worry, of yesterday. Each breath now is light in motion. Each inhale draws the world closer. Each exhale opens the space for gratitude to flow. As you breathe, let your awareness expand outward. Feel the quiet joy of being alive. You are not waking from peace. You are waking as peace. The morning does not begin at the horizon. It begins where you choose to see clearly. Akihiko sits upon a flat stone beside the river and closes his eyes again, though this time it is not to sleep. He listens to the rustle of grass, to the hum of insects, to the subtle melody of the wind. All of it blends into one continuous song, the same music he heard in the Temple of Echoes, in the Garden of Light, in the breath of the world. He smiles, realizing the song was never outside of him. It was the pulse of awareness itself. He whispers a final prayer. May all beings find this peace. May all hearts remember the breath that unites them. May every morning rise eternal within us. The sun climbs higher, and its reflection dances upon the river. The air glows, even the shadows shimmer with warmth. A young monk from the village passes by and stops when he sees Akihiko. "Good morning, elder," the boy says, bowing. "Are you praying?" Akihiko looks at him kindly. "No," he says softly. "I am listening." "To what?" asks the boy. He gestures toward the world, the river, the sky, the light on the leaves. "To everything that speaks when you stop trying to hear." The boy smiles, not fully understanding, but feeling something deep move within him. He bows again and continues down the path. Akihiko watches him go. The young footstep, soft harp and flute join, the sound of day awakening fully. Now let your awareness rise like sunlight over your own horizon. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. The night has served its purpose. Rest has deepened into clarity. Your body is the temple, your breath the bell. Let your eyes open softly if they are closed. Let light touch your skin like a blessing. You are both the morning and the witness of morning. Carry this peace with you, not as memory but as movement. Let it flow into each word, each gesture, each small act of kindness. As the sun climbed above the hills, Akihiko stood and bowed to the river, to the mountains, to the world. He whispered, "Thank you for dreaming me." Then he turned toward the valley and began walking again, his steps light, his heart unburdened. He did not know where the road would lead, and it no longer mattered. Each moment was both the journey and the destination. The wind rose gently, carrying the scent of pine and morning tea. He breathed it in and smiled. The eternal morning had begun, not in the sky, but in him. Soft chime, a final breath. Now breathe one last time with the rhythm of the world. Inhale. Feel the light fill every corner of your being. Exhale. Share it silently with all that lives. You have walked through night and dream, through silence and sound, through stillness and awakening. Now you stand in the endless dawn, the heart's true home. The meditation is complete, but peace continues, as constant as breath, as gentle as light. May every morning you wake remind you you were never separate from the sunrise. You are the sunrise,